Joe Mixon could still be released. This man right here, Joe Mixon, still could be released in 2023. There was a lot of this getting kicked around news wires back, I'd say, like well over a month ago, and then they kind of the rumors subsided. The Mixon departure didn't seem quite as likely, but now we're seeing reports as of today that suggest that if he doesn't accept a pretty substantial pay cut, Joe Mixon might be out of Cincinnati, which means that Chase Brown's season either gets kicked into full gear, or potentially the Bengals maybe kick around some sort of trade discussion. There are still running backs that could be moved. Austin Eckler is a player that has been mentioned before. I don't know that happens. I think that probably doesn't happen. But Derrick Henry's been in trade buzz, all offseason long, and then that died down. There haven't been any potential trade partners for anybody, any good landing spots, any contending teams looking for those guys. So the rumors have subsided. And they probably none of these players probably land in Cincinnati. We probably see a Zeke Elliott, a Leonard Fournette, a potential Dalvin Cook, which would change the landscape in Cincinnati, which could be a difference maker. Like Dalvin Cook, you put that flak jacket on him. He again, I always say King Touch Shoulder is probably in better shape than Dalvin Cook's, but you put him in Cincinnati for 12 games, 14 games. He misses some games probably. He's getting older. The wear and tear is heavy. It's crazy. But Dalvin Cook and Cincy would do pretty well. We have to kick around all these ideas, and the likelihood that Mixon doesn't take said pay cut. The Fantasy Football Show begins right now.
From the FantasyFootballShow.com studios, it's the Fantasy Football Show live Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern.
From the FantasyFootballShow.com news desk, here is your breaking news.
So Dalvin Cook is still somebody we expect to land somewhere, and I think that he's definitely somebody we would potentially, be looking at as far as a running back the Bengals would be going after if they did release Mixon. And Mixon says, I'm not taking a pay cut. And the pay cut, we don't know what degree what level they would want him to cut down to, but $12.8 million cap hit is quite heavy for a running back that's kind of deteriorating before our very eyes. Mixon's not the same running back he was 2 years ago, and there's been a huge bump in ADP for Mixon walking into the. By the way, happy Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to everybody out there, all you dads out there. Happy Father's Day. I'm sorry I didn't say that to kick off the show. This is a live show, and we do have Ron Navy first in the building. Ron, appreciate you being here. Max in the building. Big O, Melvin, True Penguin, Duvall, Zach, Blackbeard, who I believe had a birthday the other day. TMT in the building. Lupo, Mendez, Smooth Criminal, D Philly in the house. Yusuf, appreciate you all. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. I think Mixon's going to be pressured to take a pay cut. I'd say this feels very 50-50 to me, that Mixon doesn't do what he needs to do in order to stay on the roster. I think Mixon, I wouldn't say I know too much about how smart Mixon is, but if he's smart enough, I think he's going to look at Dalvin Cook in the situation that he's probably looking at. Very low money amounts heading his way. Very, very bad landing spots heading his way. Hopkins staring a bunch of mediocrity in the face. Hopkins not getting the amount of money he wants. And if Mixon's smart, and some would say he isn't, the way he conducts himself off the field sometimes, and you can come at me if you want on that, but Mixon has proven time and time again that there are, and some will say that he wasn't involved in this or wasn't involved in that. The man brandished a weapon in a road rage incident recently, and charges were dropped, then they were picked up again. He leveled a woman in college in what looks like a food court, whatever. The video footage of that made Mixon undraftable to 31 teams in the National Football League. At least 30 of them said they were writing Mixon off their board. So yeah, he stayed out of trouble for a while, but this is a player that I would say I'm not going out on a limb by saying that I question some of his decision making, but Mixon if he's smart when it comes to his contract and his future in the NFL, he will look at Hopkins and say to himself, am I a better commodity than DeAndre Hopkins? And the answer to that is no. An absolute hell no. He's not a better commodity than Hopkins. Hopkins can't find what he wants. I'm not saying Hopkins won't land in a good spot, won't get money that's pretty decent, but Hopkins is not getting wined and dined to the level we thought he would be. So if Mixon can even knock his number down to what would be kind of like a kick to the face, a kick to the nads for him, a kick to the stomach, kind of a disrespectful, let's take away some of your money if you want to play here. I mean, no one likes taking a pay cut. Very few people are okay saying, I'll take a pay cut and I want to stay. People are very prideful, and Mixon might be very prideful, but Mixon might also say, I'm looking at a lot of trouble off the field. I don't know if a team's going to take a gamble on me. If I end up, I've got the potential charges still against me for this situation. I had a shooting at my house, which he was not reportedly there, but then all the other history he comes with, he could be looking at literally no team coming to his door. And so taking a pay cut to the level of a contract that's likely higher than anything he'd see out on the open market makes me think he will, I think, say, yeah, what are we cutting it down to? Can we go here? Can we go here? Can we do something up front? Can we restructure the contract? Give me something up front and I'll lower the amount. Something like that makes him feel like he's getting a W, by getting some converted signing bonus money somehow, but a lower number. I don't know how it's going to work out, but the Bengals need to give Joe Burrow a contract. That is the thing on the front burner for the Bengals. They need to take care of Joe Burrow. It's going to happen in the offseason. Joe Burrow is going to be the highest paid quarterback in the National Football League, the highest paid player in the National Football League. It's going to be a $500 million deal if he ends up doing one of those long ones, or he could do a shorter, not Patrick Mahomes type deal. And it is team friendly. The more you can extend it out, like Mahomes' 10-year contract is locking him up till he's 75 years old. That is going to be more team friendly at the end of the day, and you can keep kicking things down the road and restructuring, and it gives you a lot of flexibility to restructure as you head down, downstream. A shorter contract is going to be more player friendly. It's also going to give the player another chance to kind of swoop in 3-4 years from now when the salary cap goes up about 18 to 20% every 2 years at least. And then you have Burrow getting an even bigger payday than he could possibly imagine. Today, it seems like, oh, this is amazing. I'll take this huge payday. But 2 years from now, Joe Burrow is going to be 4th or 5th on the quarterback, 5th, 6th, who knows, on the quarterback salary list. Just the way things roll. Probably not in 2-3 years, but in 4 years, let's say 4 or 5 years, it definitely won't look the same. Every year it goes up. So Joe Burrow, we'll see what kind of deal he signs. Doesn't seem to be a greedy man to me. He might take a more team-friendly deal and say, look, I'm getting paid plenty, and I'm going to be the highest paid player in this moment in time. Who cares if it doesn't last 8 years? Who cares if somebody takes my throne in 2-3 years from now being the highest paid player in the National Football League? But point is, they need to sign him. This is part of that. Free up some money. Let's go ahead and take care of Joe Burrow. T. Higgins also needs to be signed, and T. Higgins definitely will be taken care of eventually, I think, in the offseason, but probably not this season, which could put him in jeopardy depending on, I'll take that back. I'll say that Charlie Jones's development, this kid that led the nation in receptions with 110 receptions, I believe, Charlie Jones. And Scott Hansen came on and said it was his favorite breakout, which was it's really cool to hear that name come out of Scott Hansen's mouth, because that's a deep call to a lot of people. It's not a deep call when you look at the numbers. The numbers tell you Charlie Jones competed with all the wide receivers in the entire nation and was the number one reception getter. He was in the top 5 in yardage and touchdowns, and really fought with Tank Dell to be the number 1 receiver in the nation statistically. Tank Dell was number 1 in yards, number 1 in touchdowns, and number 2 only behind Charlie Jones in receptions. So, yeah, I take back my T. Higgins, I think, eventually gets taken care of. I don't know if he does. because T. Higgins will be asking for Jamar Chase equivalent money. He wants to get paid what Jamar Chase would be getting paid if Jamar was getting his contract extension right now. And I just don't know that T. Higgins is going to be worth it, even though I like him a lot. Can he stay healthy? I don't know if he will. If he gets banged up and hurt, maybe he will understand his market isn't quite there. I had a bad year in 2023. Knock on wood, we hope he doesn't get injured. But these are all things we have to think about when it comes to, thank you for the super chat, Russian collusion in the house. These are all things we have to think about when we try and look ahead, especially in Dynasty with Joe Burrow, with T. Higgins, when you make a trade for T. Higgins, when you make a draft selection in a Dynasty league for Jamar Chase, knowing what's going to be in store for the wide receiver room 2 years from now. I think Charlie Jones has something to prove, and maybe, depending on how good he looks, maybe Higgins isn't retained. But this is not about that right now. This is about Joe Mixon. What happens if Joe Mixon stays? Let me tell you something. I almost feel like if the Bengals went out and got Dalvin Cook, that would be worse for Chase Brown than the retention of Mixon. If we like Chase Brown as much as I believe you all do, because I know I do. If we collectively like Chase Brown as much as I believe we all do, we want an ailing, aging, getting older, mileage is piling up, looking less efficient by the minute running back in Chase Brown's way. We don't want a Dalvin Cook who has probably, even if he doesn't have a full season left, he will be elite whenever he's on the field. I feel like Cook is 1 year ahead of Mixon. Cook will be in Mixon's shoes 1 calendar year from today. Just like Mixon was pretty decent at times last year and the year prior. There was things to like about Mixon. He had that huge big game. People overvalued him. Then he fell flat again. I believe Cook is going to look similar at times, play a little bit better overall than Mixon did last year, but walk out of 2023 similar, where we're like, yeah, he's done. Mixon is not somebody I've drafted one time on Underdog Fantasy promo code Smitty. Not one time have I drafted Joe Mixon out of the hundreds and hundreds of fantasy football best ball drafts. Code Smitty. They'll match up to $100 in your first deposit. That link is in the description. Guys, we draft on Underdog Fantasy using promo code Smitty. This link inserts promo code Smitty for you. We draft literally every Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and usually Tuesdays as well. I've never, ever drafted Joe Mixon across hundreds and hundreds of drafts. I won't. I refuse to, and his ADP's been climbing to a ridiculous height. And for some reason, I don't know if it's the underdog, the just wanting to root for the guy that everybody's doubting. It's the conservative Caleb. It's not the looking forward Freddie that knows what's coming. These are the lazy fantasy football takes to say, oh, Mixon's going to be great. He's going to be a steal. You watch it. Mixon's not a steal. The Bengals know it. We know it. We watched him play. This guy's been hitting 8-man fronts for a living for years, waiting for this Bengal team to become the Bengal team that they are today, with the good offensive line finally walking into 2023. Thank God. He's been abused waiting for this day. Unfortunately, the day has come where everything, the stars are aligning for the offense and the offensive line, that he's not what he used to be. Unfortunately, he can't partake in said new Bengal offensive line regime, look, feel, and efficiency. That is probably going to be Chase Brown. But if, let's say, Mixon does get cut and the Bengals go after Zeke, then similar. Zeke, Mixon, not going to hold off Chase Brown at the end of the day come week 8, 9, 10. Chase Brown is very much in the same bucket as Walker last year. Not going to do as much as you want him to do early on. People that draft Chase Brown thinking, oh, I'm going to get this steal Smitty's been talking about. And then nothing happens in week 1. He doesn't get a single carry. Maybe he gets 2, 3, 4 carries by week number 2. And then you jump off the ship, you cut him, and then you say that was a bad call. Dameon Pierce didn't do what we thought he'd do early on in the season. Week 1, people cut him. That was the worst advice, Smitty, I've ever seen. Dameon Pierce, what a bad call. People are so reactive. It happens every single year. It's going to happen this year. It's going to happen next year. It's going to happen in 10 years. Every single year, about 15% of the people watching will have a knee-jerk reaction in quarter one, quarter two. Definitely by the end of week one, we're going to have people jumping off the Chase Brown train, and he will be back on the ad drop list for week number one, or coming out of week one, heading into week two, because somebody's going to drop him. And it might be the later updated version of the ad drop, because people will drop him in the first waves of ad drops. So we're going to have to talk about this all Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Smitty, Chase Brown was dropped in my league. Should I pick him up? Chase Brown was dropped in my league, Smitty. Should I pick him up? And the answer will probably be yes. Because unless they solve this problem with Dalvin Cook, the Bengals, or trade for Derrick Henry, or trade for Austin Eckler, Eckler was very much linked to the Bengals for a while. That still could get kick-started again. Eckler's not super happy about his situation. Could Eckler sign, get traded after signing his little baby bump? You could call it a raise, a little, small little incentive raise that he was given in a restructure as a way of saying thank you. Could he still get traded? I suppose he could. I don't think he will. I don't think Henry's more likely to get traded than Austin Eckler, because I believe that the Chargers believe that they're going to have an amazing year. And if the Chargers traded away Austin Eckler, Herbert would be nowhere near where I have him ranked now. And I have a lot of people tell me they have a problem with where I rank Herbert right now. If he lost Austin Eckler, I wouldn't be even close to where some of you have Herbert walking into this year. But likely chance of him getting traded out of a Chargers uniform, I would say slim to none at this point. Anything can change. Anything can get kickstarted. Any kind of trade can go down that we don't expect. It takes somebody that makes a decision that we don't hear a whole lot about, start brewing up, that kind of thing, and they execute a trade that we had no idea was coming. Tyreek Hill getting traded was very shocking. Devontae Adams was pretty shocking when that went down. So if anybody believes Christian McCaffrey actually getting traded to San Francisco was a big shock, if anybody thinks that something can't come out of nowhere, or that someone's a moron for not seeing it coming, that's not the case. The NFL is very, very strange how a lot of things don't happen that you think should, and a lot of things happen that you don't think could. And so I would say, though, slim to none chance Eckler gets traded. But that was certainly a possibility months ago, so you can't rule it out as a 0% type of thing. Henry's a little more likely to get traded, but I still think Tennessee probably wouldn't get what they want, and Tennessee probably is a little bit, I would say, oblivious to their chances of doing anything this year, and maybe they still think they'd rather ride that train into the ground. But Henry's certainly more of a likelihood than Austin Eckler. If none of those things happen, though, if Dalvin Cook, who I think would do well in Cincinnati, probably would take the job right away over Chase Brown. Who knows how long he could stay healthy. But aside from those three options that are the most likely, that would be Dalvin Cook signs with the Bengals, or Henry or Eckler, very unlikely, trades to the Bengals. Mixon staying is a good thing. Mixon staying is a good thing. We got a couple of super chats coming in. First of all, Denny dropped this $20 hauler right here, and Collusion also dropped a $5 hauler on screen. We got this going.
Alert! Super chat alert! Alert! Super chat alert!
I want to thank Denny for dropping that 20. I want to thank Russian for dropping his first super chat here of the day here. Smitty, first thing, happy Father's Day. Second, you see Diggs is upset because he was not involved in play calling. Sit your A- on the bench. Oh, sit your ass on the bench. I see what you're saying. You can put that in the chat. I think. I don't know if I thought you were talking about his grading his play. Sit your ass on the bench, says Collusion. He's not sitting anywhere, but I don't know what Diggs' problem is. I don't know what Diggs' problem is. Collusion, thank you for dropping that super chat. Denny dropped a super chat. I don't see a question from Denny, but we certainly appreciate Denny. And Denny says Happy Father's Day. Thank you, Denny, for dropping that super chat. Diggs ain't sitting anywhere, but Diggs is a diva that is probably, in my opinion, not in the best mental state walking into the 2023 season. And there's some concern about that. There's some concern that maybe he's not where he needs to be. Some people can flourish under those circumstances and play better than they've ever played before with a lot of drama around them. Diggs, I venture to say, probably not as likely with a wide receiver because he doesn't control his own destiny like, let's say, a quarterback who has the ball in his hands. We're talking about a wide receiver that's pissing off everybody around him, including the play calling situations, the coaching staff, the brass, Josh Allen. And so Diggs being in a bad mood, not being focused, while I know Collusion's kidding about sit your ass on the bench, he says, it still could put him in a position where he's not getting all the play calls dialed up that he normally would, or being trusted near the goal line if Kincaid's, gaining the trust of Josh Allen. I'm not saying to a big, huge degree, but if anybody expects Diggs to have his best season ever when his mind's not right, I know that it can happen. Players with their mind not right can still ball out. Some unique individuals out there thrive under adversity and chaos, but I would venture to say the odds of the most elite season he could produce, being the best he could be, decrease, which is why I take Garrett Wilson still over Diggs off the drama that Diggs is brewing up in Buffalo. And then we got TMT dropping a $20 holiday.
Alert. Super chat alert. Alert. Super chat alert.
Look at that man. Look at that man, TMT, dropping a wad on screen. TMT says, Smitty, happy Father's Day. You're the best in the business. Appreciate you, TMT, for dropping that. Appreciate Denny for dropping that. Appreciate Collusion for dropping his super chat. Poison in the locker room, says Ron Navy. I believe that's true. Diggs is poison in the locker room. Paul dropping a super chat. Just tuned in. Quick recap. I can't recap the show, pal. We just did it. But Paul, Mixon, has to take a pay cut. I mean, if I had to sum it up in one sentence, Mixon has to take a pay cut or they will release him. That's what we're hearing anyway. And they're not afraid to release him because he's a shell of himself. And his ADP's out of control. So it's either going to be Dalvin Cook, which is a great option, or maybe Zeke Fournette, someone like that heads over, and I'm not worried about that player holding off Chase Brown in time, but Chase Brown must be a patient play. You cannot approach Chase Brown as that type of player that you give up on after 2 weeks of not getting any work, because he's not that player that's coming out the door. You know what I'm saying? So Chase Brown is a patient play. He's still good whether Mixon's there or not, because Mixon's a shell of himself. If Mixon doesn't get cut, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it, because guess what? Mixon's a shell of himself, and Chase Brown is a big boy that's going to potentially come for that job no matter what. The only time Chase Brown gets stepped on, whether Mixon's cut or not, whether Zeke signed if Mixon gets cut, whether Fournette signed if Mixon gets cut, whether Kareem Hunt gets signed, whether Mixon gets cut. Mixon getting cut and those guys I just named getting signed are no different. It's all the same. Don't worry about Chase Brown, but he is a long play, a patient play, not doing much in week one unless he does some kind of crazy impressive things early on and gains the job somehow, which is possible, but just not likely. So it's a patient play. Plan on it being a patient play. Chase Brown is a very, very late pick. You don't need to worry about grabbing early on. Okay. Henry, Eckler, Dalvin Cook. Eckler being very unlikely chance of getting traded to the Bengals, but the Bengals were the one team he was being tied to the most, so you have to consider it, but not likely. And if they traded him, their season would not be even remotely as productive. It would be a very dumb move by the Chargers to trade Eckler in this upcoming season. But it's possible. It depends on what they get, depends on what they do, depends on what Moore wants to do. There's a whole lot of moving parts to that, but unlikely. Henry, more likely to get traded, but still kind of, I think, unlikely at this point. But anything's possible. The Bengals probably, if they're in the business of cutting the fat around the running back position because they're going all in on the passing attack, Joe Burrow's extension, maybe giving T. Higgins his, I think the last thing they want to do is bring in Derrick Henry and his contract and everything like that. So that's what makes me think it's a very cheap Dalvin Cook, a very cheap Mixon, meaning he takes a pay cut, or they bring in a very cheap replacement for Mixon and they ride the future train, the big dog Chase Brown, who I think is very undervalued walking into this 2023 fantasy football season. Mixon to the Cowboys, that wouldn't worry me too much at all with Tony Pollard. So anybody the Cowboys bring in is going to cause a panic attack and panic chamber episode that will shoot down for Tony Pollard, and I can't wait for it. I hope Tony Pollard's value gets driven into the ground by some Zeke Elliott return or something like that. I hope it does. I would rather Zeke Elliott return to Dallas if it made Pollard a mid-third round pick versus Zeke Elliott not go to Dallas and you have to pay a mid-second round pick. Because Zeke Elliott's a non-factor to me at the end of the day. And somebody's got to take a little bit of the workload anyway, whether it's Deuce Vaughn, Malik Davis, whoever. Zeke won't affect that. The only thing Zeke will do is make Pollard 1/3 cheaper. Denny, appreciate your super chat. Denny and Scuba Steve, you're both on the line. Let's go over to Denny first.
All right, Scuba Steve, great name. Happy Father's Day, Smitty.
Thank you, Denny. Same to you. If you were our father, I'm not sure.
Yeah, me neither.
Well,
man,
if there is a Denny, if there's a little Denny out there,
if there's a
little Denny out there, we wish you a happy Father's Day. But go ahead.
He's gonna be on the graveyard ship someday.
Yeah.
It's gonna be little Danny. Little Danny. Guys are scaring the crap out of me about what's going on. I just got out of work and now everybody hates Stefon Diggs. I mean, no, like that guy's got some shake and bake, and of course I got him in my league. And
of course you do.
2 leagues. Oh man, what's he doing wrong? Like that's the part. I mean, I don't want to recap, but what did Diggs do wrong? I thought that he went to camp.
He did, but he's having temper. He's constant in a constant temper tantrum state of mind. I mean, it's been on the sideline. It's been off the field. It's his attitude. It's funny because when I said the other day that he reminds me of the early stages of noticing something was wrong with Antonio Brown. And you know what people said to me? You know what I heard for days? Just DMs, emails, text messages from even a buddy that Smitty, Antonio Brown's so much worse. How can you even compare the two? And sometimes I scratch my head, Denny, and I say, did you listen to a word I said? I didn't say he's Antonio Brown right now or he's going to become what Antonio Brown is right now.
No,
I said it reminds me of when we kind of thought, oh, Antonio Brown's acting a little weird. And we're talking about in Pittsburgh, locker room cancer. Just like poison, as Ron said about Diggs. Locker room poison is what Antonio Brown started to become in Pittsburgh. And he was ungrateful. He thought he made Ben Roethlisberger and thought he could go anywhere and replicate what he was doing, and he was sadly mistaken. He did look good with Tom Brady, but there were so many stops along the way where he failed, left, he blew up. But early stages Antonio Brown were very, very much like what we're seeing out of Diggs right now. And I'm not necessarily trying to draw conclusions and say Diggs is going to get worse and worse and worse and worse, but this is a big-time drama queen, toxic person in the locker room I'm not saying don't draft him, Denny. I'm not saying he's not a guy I'd take at the 12, 13 turn. I'm just saying my advice to people is go get Garrett Wilson at 9 or 10 instead of Diggs if he's there. Go get Bijan Robinson at 7, 8, 9, 10. If you're sitting there and you got Diggs, Bijan, Garrett Wilson, you're not feeling Garrett Wilson, go Bijan. There really is not a lot of scenarios I can imagine that you're on the clock and both Bijan and Garrett Wilson are gone unless you're drafting in our community. But in a real-life setting out there, I can't imagine you're staring at Diggs only with Bijan and Garrett Wilson off the board. So I swing back around to just say, I don't know that I'll own a lot of Diggs in 2023 go forward because of the drama, because I'm just concerned that this guy's going to unravel. I mean, did anybody really see Calvin Ridley decide to step away from football the way that worked out? I mean, you never know with a player like Diggs. He is definitely the most capable of unpredictable behavior, I think, in the wide receiver category in the NFL. I mean, I feel like if anybody was going to shock the hell out of us with some weird behavior, it would be Diggs at this point. The guy seems just a little unstable.
All right, that being heard, and no, and I wasn't going off what you said. I guess I was just reading some comments just coming in.
He also turns 30. He turns 30 in November. You know, that's not in Dynasty. I wouldn't touch Diggs. If I was in a Dynasty startup, I don't want Diggs at all.
Yeah, well, I got him. But so how about Gabe Davis then? Does that move him up a notch in your book, or?
Not. I mean, maybe a little bit, but understand what I'm saying. Like, Diggs is gonna probably have a really good 2023 season. He could be 12 overall worthy, because I have a feeling a lot of people aren't hearing me. They're hearing pieces of what I'm saying, and they're not picking.
You
it
know,
all
I'm
up.
not. I hear everything you're saying.
Maybe right now you might be, Denny. It's not a matter of do you take him when those safer options are gone. Of course you do, but in Dynasty I don't want him. Dynasty, I'm trading him away now. He's turning 30 years old. Dynasty, trade him away now. Drama queen, 30 years old. Probably thinks he's going to go somewhere else. Probably going to work his way out of there. He'll probably work his way out of there, bro. Not this year, but eventually he's going, and he's going to have a rude awakening when he doesn't have Josh Allen. Rude awakening. So if he goes elsewhere, I don't want him. 2023, I don't, like I said, I'm not expecting Gabe Davis to just take over some people are like, does that mean Gabe Davis is the number one wide receiver? I'm like, are you listening to what I'm saying? I'm saying Diggs will have, no, not you, Denny. Not you. Diggs will have.
Yeah, you want a guy.
Diggs will have a top, 5 to 8 wide receiver season. Do I think he's in the best position to be the best version of himself that he can be? No, I don't. Does that mean he's going to have his best season ever? No, I don't think he will. I think he's too up here right now, just in his own head. But do I think Kincaid blows up?
Did he see anything particularly against Josh Allen? I just want to know that.
I love Josh Allen. Paul dropping 10 gifted memberships.
No, did Diggs say something against him? That's all I'm asking that. I know you're going to move on to someone else that knows something.
Hold on one second. Denny. TMT and Paul dropping the gifted memberships. We got 10 from Paul, 5 from TMT. Appreciate both of you guys. I think Josh Allen, he has a problem with everybody. Josh Allen doesn't have a problem with him. Josh Allen said publicly the other day when they didn't know where Diggs was, he was MIA. Josh Allen said, I need him, he needs me, he makes me better, I make him better. Josh didn't say, he didn't say he makes me, but he had the balls to say and the confidence to say that I need him. He's made me a better player. But I think Diggs, I don't know if Diggs would even say that publicly. I don't know. I think this guy thinks he makes everybody. I think he thinks he is the one that made the chicken and the egg. I think he thinks
he wants to be the offensive coordinator.
You what, Ron?
He wants to be the offensive coordinator and call his plays.
Yeah, just throw to me. Throw to me all day long. Kincaid's going to benefit.
No, it's not a bad attitude. It's not. I don't think he has any beef with Josh Allen. But I do remember when my man Randy Moss came to the Patriots, they were saying that at the beginning of they were saying that Randy Moss was a locker room, cancer. And that year, hey, hats off to Eli Manning. That year was amazing, but it just kind of reminds me. I think you got Josh Allen zipping it like Smitty zips it to Diggs, and he's shaking and baking. He's getting open, Ron Navy. Oh man, they're all right. I bet you he's at his house right now laughing at us. I bet you Diggs is listening to the Smitty show right now, and he's like,
slinging it.
All right, then he got my back.
So Diggs' brother is probably telling him to shut the hell up.
Oh, the one on defense.
Yeah, down in Dallas, I mean, he puts his mouth where he plays like. And he's got the cutest son too. I mean, I love how they do that. Those things. But he don't act anything like Stefon. He acts like an adult. Stefon doesn't.
There was one point in the year last year when he had. Oh no, I like Stefon. I like him.
Like AD. He is a lot like Antonio Brown. I can see it in him. He is a lot like Antonio Brown.
Hey,
you see it.
Hey, hold on, real quick, guys. Let me get over to Scuba, who's been on the hold a long time. Scuba, Steve, what's your question?
Sorry. Hey, Smitty. Before I get to my question, because you guys are, it was about the Joe Mixon stuff, but because you guys are on the Stefon Diggs stuff, and I remember you were talking, like you was just talking about that maybe he's trying to force his way out. Do you think that that maybe he is trying to force his way out and play with his brother? Because Trayvon Diggs, like he was hitting kind of like towards it like last year to try to get like Stefon Diggs to go play with him. So I mean, like maybe he's. I mean, I don't like they just paid him, so I mean he wouldn't really be like going off about like his targets or something. Well, actually, sorry, his contract. I mean, so maybe it could be like his targets. But I mean, like maybe he's like trying to like force his way out if the situation doesn't get too good to try to play with his brother in Dallas.
Yeah, he can't though. He can want it all he wants, but there's no way. There's zero, almost negative chance he can get traded this year because his dead cap hit for this season is $45 million. So it's not a possibility. He can want it all he wants. He's not going anywhere. And the only potential out in his contract is in 2025 when his dead cap goes down to 22 mil. 22 mil in 2025, that's his dead cap. No one's trading a player with a $45.4 million dead cap. It's not going to happen. So.
All right. Well, I guess
not this year.
What I was going to talk to you about was kind of like what you were saying, because the headline of Joe Mixon getting released. And I was actually going to bring up Dalvin Cook, but I think that I was listening to you when I was on hold, and you're actually talking about that maybe that is a possibility if they do cut him. And I remember that I heard the name Chase Brown a lot. So for me personally, if they do end up going Dalvin Cook, I probably would still take that guy Chase Brown because Dalvin Cook, he's already shown at least like probably like the last like 3 or 4 seasons that he's gotten hurt. Like he has been like prone to like missing games. So yeah.
Chase Brown's a must grab. He becomes a little bit more attractive than maybe Roschon, maybe A-Chain, but they're all kind of in the same bucket. You could easily argue that A-Chain's the best of the 3. You could easily argue Roschon's the best of the 3. You could easily argue Chase Brown's the best of the 3. I mean, they're all in the same bucket. They're all second to third round running backs in rookie-only drafts that you could take at 2.2 and I wouldn't make you take a lap. If you took Chase Brown at 2.1, 2.2, 2.4, honestly, grab your guy. I could care less. Nobody has to follow ADP data in the second round of a rookie-only draft. Now, most people have already done the rookie-only draft, so that content's not even really needed anymore. But like trade value-wise, or if he's sitting out there on waivers, Chase Brown has the ability to be in a redraft setting, a guy that you put at the end of your bench. He may not get any work in week 1. He may get a lot of work in week 1. We don't really know. But it wouldn't surprise me if this is a guy that every one of their mother's cutting after week 1 because he didn't do anything. And he's a patient, long play. I don't care. If Dalvin Cook's brought in, they're going to play Dalvin Cook. But by week 8, 9, Chase Brown could easily have the job. And if let's say Dalvin Cook's not brought in, and I do think Dalvin Cook showed enough ability, it was more so very, very strange usage. They went very pass heavy last year, and Dalvin Cook looked good at times when he ran the ball. He's just always injured. The mileage is huge. The injury risk is just astronomical. His shoulder's glued on and duct taped on, but he somehow plays anyway. He plays no matter what. If Dalvin Cook lands in a Bengal uniform, he will be very productive per start. It's just a matter of how many starts he gets. And he could drop off in the middle of the year. Like, he could hit that I'm done wall in the middle of the year. It happens all the time with players. They play really good for 7-8 weeks, and that was their final go, and they didn't have enough gas in the tank. They fall off. Chase Brown comes in week 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. But Chase Brown could be a guy that does nothing until, like, I don't know, week 12. Like, you got to understand that. And if you got to let him go in a small league with small benches, so be it. No one's telling you to draft Chase Brown in a very small bench type league. But he'll be on the waiver wire. I guarantee you Chase Brown will be atop the waiver wire 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks in the season. We'll be talking about it. We'll be saying Chase Brown is a must grab. And a lot of people will go, hey, Smitty, how much fab should I drop on Chase Brown? I didn't get him. I didn't get him, Smitty. I didn't draft him. I cut him. Smitty, I cut him. I cut Chase Brown like you said not to in week 1. He didn't do anything, Smitty. He didn't do anything. I needed a kicker, Smitty. I needed a third kicker. I needed to get a third kicker and a fourth quarterback, and I dropped Chase Brown, Smitty. So
I think you're 100% right, Smitty. He's a long play, and plus I've heard that they're probably going to give Travion Williams a first shot, see what he does, and so you got to just sit tight on Chase and let it develop later on in the season, maybe midway through the season. Just don't know, but I don't think Travion will be the answer, but that's how Cincinnati usually does it, is the next guy up. So
yeah, I kind of feel
he might get the first shot at it.
I kind of feel the same way about Ty Chandler in Minnesota. He might get the first crack, or probably will. And then McBride is the long play there. So you gotta kind of ask yourself, like, what do you need? Let's say you're in a league with a medium bench. Do you need a long play player, or do you need somebody that's getting carries right away because you took a Javonte Williams? If you take a Javonte Williams, well, you need somebody at the front end of your season. So maybe you would look at Trayvon Williams. You would look at Ty Chandler in those situations. But if you're the kind of person that's like, I'm stacked at RB, this is a stash, this is like an investment, then Chase Brown is the guy you're taking at the end. So those things are, it's like taking Jordan Mason, in a draft. If you've got very deep benches, you're not expecting him to get carries in week 1, 2, 3, 4. You need Christian McCaffrey, Eli Mitchell to go down, but then Jordan Mason's going to play like a running back 1 for 2 weeks, at some point during the year. That's like what you gotta think about, all the different levels to it. But you cannot expect Chase Brown to start week 1. Like, that is just a ridiculous mindset. You can't expect him to even play.
No, long term.
But just real quickly to wrap up on Diggs, because I know a lot of people are taking this wrong. I still would draft Diggs if he fell to me in the right territory. It's more so, like I said, Garrett Wilson and Bijan are there almost. One of them is there almost every single time I'm put in a position to draft Diggs. And I just think Diggs is not set up to have his best season. Doesn't mean Josh Allen's going to struggle a crazy amount. Doesn't mean that Gabe Davis is the number 1 wide receiver there. Diggs is still the wide receiver 1. But Diggs turns 30 in November. He's, got a lot going on. And, could I change my mind on Diggs and have him climb up my rankings 1, 2, 3 spots? I mean, certainly. If he kind of, patches things up, we don't hear a single thing bad. Maybe he comes out and publicly says something, whatever. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think at this point, it feels like Diggs is not necessarily a ticking time bomb, but I feel like he's like a little monster that's growing bigger and bigger. He's collecting more and more fuel to become a bigger and bigger problem, is all I feel. And I don't know if it has something, I'm not saying he took a hit and it's something like Antonio Brown's dealing with, but I mean, who the hell knows? He's acting very weird, and it seems more diva-like than weird. So I kind of think that maybe it's not Antonio Brown-esque, but it certainly smells a lot like Antonio Brown's initial going a little bit rogue.
Yeah, it does.
Smitty, let's say that Dalvin Cook does go to the Bengals. I mean, where would you rank him? Like where does he shoot up, like draft boards? Because I would assume now, like, that's like a big like landing spot, and like you think that he's going to be productive, so he'll probably get he'll probably be in the opportunity to get some good rushing touchdowns because that offense should be pretty good. So where do you rank him? Like if he was there, like where would you, I guess, be comfortable taking him in the first round? Like, I mean, well, actually, would he even be a first rounder? Like,
who, Dalvin Cook? Dalvin Cook, a first rounder? What are you talking about?
No, I'm saying he goes to the Bengals.
Wait, what?
No, I'm saying like if he sides with the Bengals, does he go to the first round? I guess.
If Dalvin Cook went to the Bengals, would he be a first rounder?
Yeah. No. Yeah, that's what I was trying to ask you. Yeah, because I was trying to say that because like their offense is pretty good. And he'd be set up for like rushing touchdowns. So I didn't know if you'd rank him in the first round. Like where would you guess? Like
it's still a lap. That's still a lap.
I think people might put him up to the third round at the very highest. I think he could possibly get a third round push.
Yeah, if he's a Bengal, like, would I feel comfortable taking him in round 3? No. But like Ron says, what happens to the general public? Do I think he's a 4th or 5th round gamble? Yeah, like Madison's going around 5 right now, and it feels like we're pushing our luck a little bit with that. Like we're very much pushing our luck with that. If Dalvin Cook was in Cincy and we brought this guy in to start, like, I could get behind 4th or 5th round value, I suppose, but not in a lot of leagues, bro. Not in a lot of leagues. But if we just heard he's coming in, we're bringing him in, he's just going to cycle through. Like, I'm telling you, he's no more valuable than Madison. Like, you can't put him first round. Like, you're in my opinion, that's 4 or 5 rounds off. Scuba Steve. It's a good question. I sent you on laps. Laps are healthy. They keep you healthy. But first round material? Absolutely not. This is not the same Dalvin Cook.
Give him a lot.
You what?
Get some cardio.
Oh, Denny. What, Denny?
He needs a little cardio. Give him a lot.
Little cardio. Yeah, little cardio. But I mean, definitely, Scuba definitely going to see an uptick in value. But I don't even think the Bengals will come out and say, hey, this is our starter for sure. I think they'd be like, look, we got a nice little rotation going. Certainly, depending on what they paid him. But if they're trying to get this man to take a significant pay cut, are they looking to pay Dalvin Cook a lot of money at all? No. So his money will probably tell you he's competing for the job. He'll probably get it because he's Dalvin Cook. But no, 4th round material would be even almost too high for me. Give me Watson. Give me London. Give me Walker. Those are all 4th and 5th round players. I'm not taking Dalvin Cook over those guys. No.
P. Ryan.
No, I'm not taking P. Ryan.
It's like I said, it was
great question.
Sure, like where he would just because of the offense. I didn't know like how far it would like jack him up or anything. Just because
it will.
I mean, it's projected to be a good offense. That's all.
It will, not first round. Hey, Scuba, if he climbs into round like 2, I'll take a lap. You just remind me to take it. If I misjudge how high he climbs, but I think first round would be 0% chance he's a first round.
Scuba needs to take the lap. Scuba needs to take the lap.
0% chance near that he's a second rounder, and very hard to imagine third round for me. But I've been wrong about judging the general populace, pal. They could these cats out there. I sometimes can't predict and see things coming. Sometimes people shock me. Scuba. If anybody's out there willing to take Dalvin Cook just because he changes teams in the 3rd round, had he stayed in Minnesota, he wasn't a third round. Wasn't a 3rd rounder. Like, you know what I mean? Like, what's really changing because he goes to the Bengals? The Minnesota role that he had was not. It's not going to be that much different than the Bengal role. The Bengal role is a little bit better, more. I think they probably use him a little bit more, and I like the offense more, but. Because they're gonna, they didn't run Cook enough, but he's not even a 4th round player at all, really. Period. Wherever he goes, doesn't matter. He goes to Miami, he's not a 4th rounder. You know what I mean?
I got you, man.
He's at best 5 for me. But I could not put Dalvin Cook in my round 4, even if they said we're signing Dalvin Cook. This is the Bengals calling. We're signing Dalvin Cook. We're releasing Mixon, and we're signing him to a $4 million deal. I still could not draft him in round 3. Not a chance. I still probably could not draft him in round 4. Maybe I warm up to it, but hell no for now.
All
I'm with Smitty.
Hey, Smitty, before you go to somebody else, I just had a quick question about Aaron Rodgers. This is like a dynasty question. I guess it would probably depend on the type of league that it is. I guess maybe it depends on like if you did it for like a couple of years to compared to like a startup. But with Aaron Rodgers, because like everybody's saying that he could have like 1 or 2 years left. How inclined would you be like to trade him? I mean, does it depend the type of season that you have? Like if you're in there for like a 3-year league and maybe you're a middling team anyway, like would you? And he's like having like a good year. Like is he a guy that you would like trade? Like I guess like how would you handle it in terms of like a 3-year rebuild or like when you're starting up?
Well, I don't think many people are gonna buy Aaron Rodgers from you. If Aaron Rodgers in a dynasty startup or a 3-year keeper league startup, he's still going very, very late. Let me put it this way. With no dynasty value tied to him at all, you're talking redraft only, 1 year at a time. He's outside the top 10 by a mile. He's not inside the top 10. I believe he will be. I think Aaron Rodgers could drop. I think it wouldn't shock me if Aaron Rodgers was a top 7 quarterback in fantasy football this year. And you might see a little content on that very soon. He's going to feed Garrett Wilson. He's going to feed Breece Hall. He's going to make Breece Hall his little Aaron Jones. He's got a lot of potential to do a lot of great things in New York. New York's going to live in the red zone. But if you attach any sort of keeper or dynasty value to Aaron Rodgers, he's not going to be tradable like if you could get something for him, I would take it, especially if you have another quarterback. Now, if he's your only quarterback and you're fighting it all for this year, then I wouldn't trade him. But if you're literally rebuilding, you're not winning it. I mean, I don't know what you would get for him, bro. You'd have to give me some examples, but you couldn't get a 4th or 5th round player, like, because he's going in a redraft. He's going in like the 10th, 11th round, 9th round. What is he going? Ron, what's his ADP on Underdog? It's like the 10th, 11th, 12th round, like something like that. I don't know, 9th, 10th.
Yeah. Ron, wake up, Ron.
That's redraft. So like you talk about any sort of dynasty appeal. No one's giving you. So what are you going to get? You know what I mean? What's in the 9th, 10th round? Like, and that's a redraft. Like, not a lot. So I don't know that you get anything. But you know what you could do, Scuba, is you could couple him with like a future first rounder and go to a team that's in win now mode that maybe lost their quarterback, in like week 2 or week 3. And you could somehow get a first, give him a first rounder, give him Aaron Rodgers, and go after some player that's playing bad. Because every year through like the first 4 or 5 weeks of the season, there are people that are slumping. What if St. Brown doesn't do anything for 2 or 3 straight weeks? Guess what? Somebody's selling St. Brown. They're selling St. Brown like he's a third round pick. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hang tight real quick. No, hold on one second. You're live on the Fantasy Football Show. 678 caller. Who's this?
Got a quick question for you.
Grant, where are you calling from, bro?
Birmingham, Alabama.
Grant from Alabama. It's Grant, right? Is it Grant?
Yeah.
Is it Pam or Pan?
Yeah, that's great.
Pan or Pam?
It's Grant from Alabama.
Pan?
Yeah.
Okay.
I got a quick question.
Okay, hold on.
It's like, no, Smitty, it's Pam, like with 2 P-A-N-N.
Okay, hold on. Denny, hang tight. Denny, you've done so good all day. Grant from Alabama, what can I help you with, Grant? Appreciate you calling. Hopefully you call in more often. I didn't mean to. I'm just joking around with you. Have you ever seen Step Brothers? Okay. Grant,
yeah, I have.
Okay. Go ahead, Grant.
Yeah, so I'm taking your advice. I got the 101 in a redraft. It's only 8-man. Some of them are sharks. Some of them are kind of some dudes. But I'm taking Jamar Chase first. But I'm running into, at the 2-3 turn coming back around, the way off the Yahoo ADP is right now, there's sitting there is Pollard, Garrett Wilson, A.J. Brown, Ramondre. Like, those 4 dudes are kind of sitting right there. And I'm usually going, like, Pollard and Garrett Wilson. But I'm curious if just the value with A.J. Brown there and the ability to stack him with Jalen Hurts in the 4 or 5 turn for me, because it's only an 8-man league.
Man.
Would you go that route or stick with
Can you
Pollard.
imagine you get Jalen Hurts, even in the 8-man league, Jalen Hurts in the 4 or 5 turn would. It's like you can't say anybody in that league's a shark if you end up pulling that off. But yeah, if you could pull that off, bro, the amount of running backs that are going to be available for you, if anything, this would be my favorite league to try 0 running back in. Because your 0 running back's going to be like a 4th round running back. Like you could get I bet you get Walker and Charbonnet going 3 wide receivers and Jalen Hurts with these grandmas, bro. These aren't even grandmas. These are corpses, bro.
Yeah, probably. Well, when I say sharks, it's like me and 2 other dudes, and then like the other 5 are just pretty casual,
like baby sharks.
So I'm thinking they're probably gonna stick a lot to whatever Yahoo suggests they draft.
I'm sure they will
at that spot.
Yeah, they sound like trouts, not sharks. Drafting with a bunch of sea bass.
Hopefully they are, and I can take their money.
Sea bass. Yeah, bro. You're gonna be able to scoop up. You're gonna be able to scoop up so many of the Kamara, Pacheco, Charbonnet, Swift, and then you'll even get Pierce's and probably a Kenneth Walker in there. And so I definitely would be very intrigued going wide receiver, Jalen Hurts. And if you don't get Jalen Hurts, I don't think you will. But if you did, that'd be crazy. But even like a Burrow, bro, all day long.
Yeah, Burrow's fallen pretty far in the mock draft so far just because the Yahoo ADP is pretty whack compared to, people drafting an underdog right now.
Yeah. This guy Joshua comes in here and says Smitty's lying about his Fantasy Pros QB ranking. I checked through 29-20, never finished higher than 125th overall. I'm not sure what you're looking at, but you're clearly lying because I can show it to you. Draft rankings. Maybe you're looking at the lineup rankings, which I don't even run. Maybe that's what you're looking at. I think maybe you're looking at lineup rankings, Josh. But I can guarantee you 100,000% that I finished number 6 and 5. Let me see if I can even pull it up. Let's pull it up here and just show who's lying, pal. You want to see who's lying? I'll show you who's lying right now because it's you. It's you. You coming in here running your mouth about something you have no idea what you're talking about. Let's go ahead and pull up the Fantasy Pros. It's sometimes it's so stupid when someone wastes their time doing something like this. But hold on, let's go ahead and pull it up for this guy because he has to be a jack monkey and come in here and try and waste everyone's time. Just waste everyone's time, bro. All right, hold on, let me. I think
we give Denny a mission. Remind him being back in the Marines.
What about Denny?
Take care of the
What about Denny?
I think you're right. Who's this guy? Yeah, I got one mission against this guy, Smitty. Don't look up. You don't have Smitty. Don't have to look up your credentials.
No. This guy. I want to show this guy.
No. How is he funny? Is he clown funny? Is Smitty clown funny?
Yeah.
Don't suck, Smitty. Smitty's on fire. Smitty, don't worry.
I'm going. I'm going for it. I'm going for it. When clowns come in here and run their mouth, they get put in place. They get put in their place. So he's going to be put in his place.
I mean,
so let's go find it. Let's go find it. Hold on. I'm
looking. Listen, all right. Smitty's going off right now, Ron. He's all mad.
Yeah.
Hey, while Smitty's looking it up, I need to talk to Ron.
Yeah,
How you doing, buddy?
Ron.
Yeah, my birthday was a couple days ago. I had a hell of a freaking time.
Really? The 16th?
Look it.
16th was my. Okay, Smitty's back.
Here we go. Now here we go. Here we go. Now, in full disclosure, and I've said this before, and this is what this guy's going to run his mouth about. When you got guys like Clyde Edwards-Helaire, you do things, you can shoot your running back rankings in the foot, things like that. That happens all the time. Here is in 2019, number 4 in QB ranking, right there. Number 4 in QB ranking. That was that. That was in 2019. In 2020, your boy right here. Whoa. Your boy right here, if you sort this, number 6 in quarterback ranking. Number 6 in quarterback ranking. Number 19 overall in the industry out of all the draft rankings. What this Joker's doing is he's going in, and I think he's looking at the weekly lineup rankings or something like that. Somebody's done this before. Like, Smitty, I went and looked, and you weren't what you said. It's right here. It's right here. Not only was I 19th overall, I was number 6 in quarterback rankings. I was also what do you know here? What do you know here? What do you say? What do you know? This Jack Monkey comes in here running. Hold on, Denny. This is my time. This is my show.
Okay, my bad.
Okay, hold on. So this Jack Monkey comes in here, 19th in the industry, 6 in quarterback ranking. Yeah, I had bad wide receiver and running back years. I don't hide from that. This is bold predicting I do. When a player like I said, Clyde goes down, it'll tank your rankings. I was number 1 in the industry in tight end rankings and number 6 in the same year, 2020, during the pandemic, mind you. During the pandemic, Denny. Number 6 and number 1. This Jack Monkey comes in here running his mouth, lying like a dog in here. Lying like a dog in here. And so Joshua, you've just been put in your place. How do you feel, first of all? We haven't seen a single comment since you made your dumb comment right here. How do you feel?
Call in, Josh.
How do you feel, Josh? Joshua, how do you feel now? How do you feel?
How do you feel that you got Smitty mad? He was in a good mood, and now he's in a bad mood, and now he's mad at all.
Unbelievable. You show me someone else that finished 6 and 1 in 2 different categories. That's what I thought. Josh. That's what I thought. Just completely blasted you to pieces.
Come on, Josh.
Josh, don't ever call in again like that. That's disrespectful.
Yeah.
There's people, Josh.
It's right. He's not coming back in here. How could he show his face at that point? He's gone. He's completely gone.
Smitty's all upset.
Okay. No, I'm not upset. I just had to put people in their place a lot of the time that come in and run their mouth. Haters are always going to be around. Rock out, you're live. Rock out, Marsman, rock out.
So with the potential of Mixon being out, where would you rank Chase Brown to Madison?
I'd rather have Madison by a lot because Chase Brown has to climb. Chase Brown is nowhere near what where he needs to be to even compete with Madison, who's being handed the starting job and has been a top 5 to 10 running back per start, or could be per start. Yeah. So, but could, let's say if Dalvin Cook, the better question would be, can Dalvin Cook, if he goes to Cincinnati, be ranked with Madison? And I think that's where you're going to see the two. They're going to be like this, though. I'm not saying I'm not saying I like Madison less. I'm just saying they're going to be like this.
Smitty, can I step in on this call?
Yeah, go ahead, Denny.
Recent studies have showed that Cook, and I watched the video, I think it was a year or 2 ago, about Cook's shoulder. And it was a little piece of paper that Smitty showed me that it ripped to the thing. And you can't be out there playing ball and it's just a little piece of paper. So he's done. Cook's done. Whoever's going against Cook, stick with Joe Mixon, get P. Ryan if you want, but don't go Cook.
You're talking about
don't
this.
Don't even go with his little brother.
You're talking about this right here.
You're
talking about this right here. The ball and socket example I give, where I basically say, here's the ball and socket. You have a labrum that holds that ball inside the socket, and the ball and socket is like this. Okay, so the ball of your shoulder goes into the socket, and it's not tight enough fit for it to keep it in there. So there's a seal in there, and that seal can be kind of represented like this piece of paper. So once you tear it, and that ball comes out of the seal of that labrum, so to speak, you can sometimes repair it. Like, look at this paper. We have one tear, right? We could potentially, if you look at repairing this piece of paper as an example, we could probably repair that, right? If we did some surgery right there, we can make that a tight fit again. The problem is once you've had as many tears as Dalvin Cook has had coming through this thing over and over and over, there's only so much you can do. And this shoulder pops out of the socket when it hits these different angles and re-tears or comes out. He has really no shot at having a healthy shoulder ever again. He's torn this thing, both shoulders, so many times. There's no fixing it. There's like someone said one time, oh, I think you got the shoulder finally taken care of. No, you don't take care of a torn labrum when you've mangled it. And that's why I always say that King Tut has a better looking shoulder MRI than Dalvin Cook. Yeah, I'm definitely not a big fan of Dalvin Cook staying healthy, but I think I could get behind, him playing some good football for half a season and then go from there. But there's no way I'm expecting him to have a completely, totally healthy, magnificent top 10 running back season for, 17 weeks. There's just no way. Scuba, what else you got, Scuba?
Hey, Smitty, did you see the stuff about Zamir White? Some guy posted like an article about him, about Zamir White possibly getting like some reps. I don't know if that's like a first team running back or something. Wanted to get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, Zamir. Well, first of all, Jacobs hasn't signed, his franchise tender. So that Zamir White is going to be the only guy that can do anything right now. You know what I mean? So that's why he's taking first team reps. Otherwise, what would they do? So definitely is true. But the problem, is going to be when Jacobs gets in there, what's his role look like? But look, Jacobs I don't like the situation, period. So this kind of feels like a little bit Rachaad White. Like, as much as I love Rachaad White, who's finally getting an opportunity, his situation's really bad. It's really bad. So if Zamir White even got in there, would he just fail? Would we not even know how good he is because he'd be hitting 8-man front after 8-man front over and over and over? I will say that in the deepest of leagues, if he's available, he's a great, great player to add because he will be utilized more this year than last year. And the moment that Josh Jacobs gets hurt, if he does get hurt, and keep in mind what I said earlier, Jacobs and Adams both will be players that if they end up getting injured at all, they might hold out a whole lot longer, if not the entire end of the season. Like if they have 4 weeks left and the Raiders have nothing to play for, Jacobs and Adams will both be very, very high likely candidates to sit out the remainder of that season. So Zamir White, to me, feels like the deeper you get into the year, the higher likelihood this guy's going to potentially get a start or two. But will it be 3.4 yards per carry? I don't know. So yeah, monitor him. If you need a running back, it's a good option. But
I guess I read the report wrong. It's on Roto World. It's some person from the Athletic wrote it. I guess it says that they believe that the Raiders may call on him to balance out the workload. So I don't know if they're meaning. I mean, if they're trying to say that they're going to project that it's going to be like a split backfield, where I guess between Josh Jacobs and him get like a split carries, or how they're trying to manage it.
Yeah, this is like if my grandma just wrote an email and sent it to my other grandma, and both of them aren't even alive, and said, hey, I think Zamir White might balance out the workload. And I'm not saying that this isn't a good thing for you to bring up, Scuba, because it's out there on CBS Sports, but this is an athletic writer. We always make fun of the athletic writers because there are 10,000 of them. And if one makes a bad report, they just put somebody else in, and you never see the other. They report on all these speculative things as if they're news. And I don't know if CBS Sports is in bed with the Athletic or if they own them or what the tie is there, but they always report this opinion reporting by the athletic writers as if there's some sort of news. There's no news here. It says this guy believes. This guy Reed, I've never heard of in my life. I give him no sort of stamp of Smitty approval at all. Until I see something that this Tashawn Reed does that I acknowledge as accurate, I have no idea who it is. So he believes as much as my dead grandma could believe. that Zamir White is going to balance out the attack. That's all I can tell you. Is this holds no water with me because it's some dude sitting in his grandma's basement waiting on the meatloaf that tells us Zamir White might balance out the attack. I have no evidence to quantify this, so not going near it.
It's like believing something you hear on CNN.
Yeah.
All right. Hey.
But hey, keep bringing them, Scuba.
Yep.
I was gonna say, keep bringing them. They're all news reports out there that need to be shot down or approved or questioned. So you're doing good work here. I don't want you to think, because a lot of the stuff you bring up, a lot of times I'm like, no Scuba, but people need to hear it because they might have heard this rumor too or read it, and so it's great stuff. So keep it coming, Scuba.
No, I always try to bring up the rumors and stuff that I find, whether it's from Michael Florio or any of those other guys. And another thing too is also on Roto World. I don't know if it was Matthew Berry and his the guys that he talks with or anything, but they were talking about Kenny Pickett, that he's looking pretty good, and he might possibly be a breakout quarterback. I mean, it's good that Ron's on the phone because I guess maybe Ron could talk about it too. Where are you on Kenny Pickett? You think that there's a chance that I guess if the offensive line's good and stuff, that he could be a breakout quarterback?
Let me first address before you say anything else. To just say I want to congratulate Ron on Father's Day. He just adopted you and became your father.
Way to go, Ron.
Ron, congratulations. Scuba Steve, now your son. He's a Kenny Pickett believer. That makes him blood. Look, Pickett looks tough. The McAfee show even had Pickett running between those what do you call those things? The tackle dummy machines. And Pickett was looking smooth. He was running tough. Pickett's out for blood. And I really don't see him as a top 7 quarterback or anything like that. But I see this guy as a really, really underrated Geno Smith, Goff, Danny Dimes, all these guys that could slip into the top 10 and really just make people say wow, what a year. Maybe do we consider starting him if the schedule's right over a quarterback that that I drafted to be my starter? Because no one's drafting Kenny Pickett, not even Ron, drafting Kenny Pickett to start. But maybe he has such a good year, surprisingly to some, that you're contemplating putting him in based on matchup. So really, really like what I'm seeing and hearing about Kenny Pickett. He does look like he's toughening up a ton, and he's out for blood, and he's got grit. And this is kind of what I think people think, when Patriots fans have their Patriots goggles on, when they see Mac Jones out there, I think they see Pickett in their mind, but if they took their goggles off, they see a guy crying and complaining, rolling around on the floor. Is not the toughest guy in the world like a lot of the Patriots fans think he is. This guy's always injured, always rolling his ankle, always crying and complaining. I don't like Mac Jones at all, and I think Mac Jones fails in the league. Kenny Pickett is what I believe Patriots fans wish that Mac Jones was, this underrated guy that's going to climb up and prove everybody wrong, and he's got the weapons and defense and coaching staff to be sneaky good and take this team pretty far. I think Ron's going to say they're going farther than I'm going to say, but I'm very, very optimistic about what Pickett to Pickens. Yeah, we already bet on it. What Pickens to Pickett will look like. Hold on real quickly before Ron answers that. I got to handle this $20 super chat that just came in from Russian Collusion and from Michael K. CPA. Two monsters dropping 20s right on screen.
Alert. Super chat alert. Alert.
And also, Michael K. CPA, I don't know if anybody knows this, but Michael K. CPA has his own song here. So when he's driving around listening to his favorite show, he hears his own song playing on the radio while his favorite show is playing. Mind blown.
He's Michael K. CPA. When you've got bills to pay, Michael K. CPA, he is here to stay.
Appreciate Michael K. CPA. This super chat says, Smitty, say you're in a keeper league with Sharks and only rounds 4, 8, 12 are potential keepers. Gibbs in 4 is ideal. What are your thoughts? Gibbs in 4 is ideal. Gibbs would be amazing. The problem is people sometimes grab that player like in the 3rd round, so no one can get that keeper value in round 4. But 4 would be great for London, Walker, Gibbs, Burrow, Fields. That's weird that you guys choose it that way. Charbonnet would be fantastic in 8. Dotson would be great in 8. Pickens would be great in round 8. Trevor Lawrence obviously won't fall there, but that's someone you could consider, I suppose. 12 would be Tank Dell. Take him 2 rounds early just to get that keeper value. But it's really weird that it's round 4, 8, and 12. That's very, very strange. Mr. Frost, are you still here? Hopefully you heard that response. Russian Collusion says, Smitty, I am in one Garrett Wilson draft. Can you start putting one out at the end of the 7 p.m. show? I will do my best to do one more often during the 7 p.m. show. For sure, Collusion. And remind me on that. Appreciate you dropping that. Michael K. CPA's super chat was, my son, Zachary, loves the show and wanted to say hi and happy Father's Day. Michael K. CPA, thank you for all you do. Appreciate you. And I hope your son enjoyed hearing his dad's song on his dad's favorite show. You're the only one that has a full-length song like that dedicated to you, because you were here from the beginning. You were first in the building for months and months and months and months. Like over a year or 2 ago. Appreciate you, Michael K., hanging out. Now, Ron Navy, would you like to address your adopted son, Scuba Steve's remarks about Kenny Pickett and fill in any of the blanks? Please don't take more than 2 or 3 minutes, but go ahead.
Yeah, I'll try to keep it short. Yeah, a lot of the reports from all over saying that even on like the Good Morning football show, they're saying that they're thinking Pickett has a breakout year this year, and so even the Tomlin thinks so and all that. Here's the thing. Let me expand on this a little bit.
Paul, are you here?
Pickett is a really good quarterback, especially
Paul, are you still here?
You have Mahomes, Hurts, or Allen for your main elite quarterback, because week 10 Pittsburgh plays Green Bay, which is a good matchup, and in week 13 Pittsburgh plays Arizona tanking on purpose Cardinals. Mm-hmm. So he's got really good matchups on the weeks that your elite quarterback, those 3 elite quarterbacks, are going to have their bye week. So he's really good pickup that way. If you're looking at it that way. Those are his matchups.
Yeah.
I'm done.
Okay, Paul, are you still here? Paul dropped a $20 super.
Alert. Super chat alert.
Paul, appreciate that. I don't know if I answered this. I don't think I did. Paul said, thanks for all you do, Smitty. Love the futures on Underdog on ETN and Breece Hall on the over 6 rushing TDs. Yeah, Breece Hall at 850-something yards, I think, too, is absolutely unbelievable. Paul, you still here? Hopefully Paul's still here. Let's go over to Blake. Blake from... where are you from, Blake?
Minnesota.
Blake from Minnesota. What's up, pal?
So I'm looking at my second round right now on a slow draft. Are you preferring A.J. Brown or C.D. Lamb? Garrett Wilson was taken at 10.
I guess A.J. Brown. But I love both of them. I have more concerns about the Dallas Cowboy offense and less concerns about the Philly offense. Obviously, it's a better offense. They're the best offensive line in football. They're going to be in the red zone more, and the Cowboys are going to lean a little more run heavy. Doesn't mean, thank you, Matt, doesn't mean that they aren't going to still throw the ball to Tony Pollard. Doesn't mean Pollard can't do amazing things. Doesn't mean Lamb can't still have an amazing year that's very top 14 overall worthy. But I do feel like I go with the guy that has Jalen Hurts, the number one offensive line, a team that's probably going to the NFC Championship game, in my mind, near lock, unless some injury happens. Give me the guy with Jalen Hurts, bro. And you know, you're definitely getting an amazing player either way.
Yeah. All right. Is it all right if I ask one more question?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you could stay, bro. You don't even have to. You could stay on the line here. Go ahead. Yeah. What do you got?
All right. And then, are you liking Kamara, Swift, or J.K. Dobbins more?
J.K.'s got the highest ADP, or maybe Swift. Yeah, J.K. then Swift then Kamara ADP wise. But I have to say, I guess if they were all the same, I would like J.K. maybe the most because I think I was really excited about him for the first time in a long time. But the fact that he, he's holding out now, and this is not a guy you want missing anytime, not even 2 weeks of camp, and then he's got more likely chance every day of getting injured. I just don't know how he feels he's going to be able to hold out. He's going to hold out maybe, and I mean, I believe he's losing. It's like what is it, like $30,000 at this point per day? I don't know how he could lose that. I don't know what is going on with them. Like, what makes him think he can afford to do that? What makes him think that the Ravens are going to come in and say, yeah, let's give him a big fat contract? They can't relieve the fines. Those fines are mandatory now. So I don't know what he's thinking. So I don't think he holds out that long, if not at all. He might have even already reported and hit the facility. Like, we'll have to look at the news tomorrow. But I like JK, but do I like JK at his cost of entry, which is like round 5? I'd rather have Swift in like late 6, early 7, or Kamara in 8 or 9. Kamara's been going in like round 8 or 9. If you're drafting on an ESPN or Sleeper, the ADP is going to shove Kamara into round 4 or 5. So then I like JK more. So it just depends on where you draft. If you draft on Underdog, you're seeing Kamara going 7, 8, 9. And I like that cost of entry better. So it just depends. The context matters for me. It's not just a blanket Dobbins, but Dobbins, if they're all in the same place, Dobbins. And then I like probably Kamara and Swift the same. They both come with huge risk, but they're very, very good 0 RB running backs to grab.
All right. Thank you, Schmitty.
Yeah. And it's not a matter of Prime says Dobbins will play. No crap, Hod. No crap. We know Dobbins is going to play, but how long? Or how long is he going to stretch this out? You don't want an injury-prone, one of the most injury-prone running backs in the National Football League, to sit out until like July something. That's going to increase the likelihood of injury. So that's why we all know he's going to play Prime. He's not going to sit out the season. J.K. Dobbins is going to get no traction with his holdout at all. Pickett or D. Watson this season. Pickett or Deshaun Watson. I'd go Deshaun Watson if it was me, but I don't really draft either one of them as my starter. Like, Pickett is going to be a guy you draft as your second quarterback if you're a believer in him. Deshaun Watson's like at the end of my top 10 running backs, and I'd just rather not go there. I'd rather go after Burrow in 4, Fields in 5 or 6, T-Law in 6. And that's if I don't go earlier quarterback. So I don't find myself in this situation at all where I'm going with either one of these guys. But I guess I would rank Watson, because Watson's a top 12 guy. Pickett is a guy you hope to breach in that territory and nobody sees it coming type of thing. But thank you for the super chat.
12?
What?
When was Watson a top 12 quarterback?
A while ago. A while ago. Before his situation, which is why I don't draft him. But I don't
Denny
think.
calling in. Demi bringing it in. Come on, baby. I'm in. Talk to me.
Denny, what do you got?
All right. Geno Smith. All right. They wrote me off, but I didn't write back. Geno, look at his wide receivers. I'm loving Geno Smith. I'm loving that team. Did I miss something? I love you, Ron Navy. I love you, Smith.
Yeah, Geno Smith. I like him. I don't love him. Ron, Denny. I think it's the same thing. Sorry, Ron. I think it's the same thing that we're talking about with Goff, with Danny Dimes. Like, could Geno, Goff, Danny Dimes, any of these quarterbacks, even Cousins, could these guys be top 7, 8, 9, 10? Absolutely. Like, every one of them could be, which is so weird when somebody comes in and says something like, how could you have so-and-so ranked 10 and not 7? It's like that like, group of quarterbacks outside of the big dogs. They're all close.
Oh, yeah.
They're all close. And he's got a lot of weapons. Hold on, Denny. He's got a lot of weapons, but This is a run-first offense. This is a heavy run-first offense, Denny. So I'm not expecting Geno to be some sort of, fantasy football starter for me.
All right, but who's you got for receivers? Ready?
Denny, you sound a lot different between the last call when you hung up and came back. This is definitely a Denny that's been relaxing a little bit more since he's been home from work. You've been chilling.
Yeah, I was just chilling out back. I didn't even see what was happening. I didn't want to jump in.
And, Denny gets started right when he gets.
Because you were so mad about
Denny.
this, Josh. Dude.
I love Denny.
Dude, never mind this guy. You know what?
Look. I'm not mad at anybody. I'm not mad at anybody when someone comes in and lies on the stream. I gotta prove them to be a liar. I proved them wrong. And just to put it all together for people, when I finished number 5 in QB scoring 1 year in 2019. In 2020, I finished number 6, and then in 2021, finish whatever I finished in 2021. The average of those 3 years through that time span, number 1 in the industry. So, and in tight ends, the same thing. Tight ends, number 1 in tight end rankings. I believe 2 different times. Let me just make sure on that one. 2018, number 1 in tight end rankings. Hold on, Denny. I was number 1 in tight end rankings in 2018. I was number 1 in tight end rankings in 2020. And so the 3-year average that they go by there, I ranked number 1 in tight end rankings. So number 1 in quarterback rankings, number 1 in tight end rankings over their 3-year spans that they looked at. I'm just saying, Denny, you come in here and you try and sling it at me. I'm going to sling it right back at you.
Who, me?
No.
Oh yeah, I know.
No, I'm just you're telling me, was I mad? I'm not mad at anybody. I'm just spitting facts at this guy until he withers away.
Yeah. But hey, we Danny, all know.
Hey.
I appreciate you, man. 52. 52.
Hey,
I'm 52.
Appreciate you, Denny.
Well, Ron.
I'm 54, so I got you by 2 years.
Man, I'm wicked good looking. I'll send you a picture of me right now. Like, you want to see Denny right now? You're gonna see the best looking guy in the world.
Hey, Denny,
anyway,
email me a photo. Email me a photo right now of what you're doing, kicking your feet back by the pool. You got a brewski in your hands. You got a cigar in the other hand. Send us a photo.
I'll do it. I'll
put it on screen.
What's your email, Smith? Smitty, what's your email? I'll send it to you.
Go to
Dude, you don't know.
I don't think
I run this.
Okay, hold on. Let's go to Scott real quick, Denny. Scott, you're live.
Smitty, no. Oh, my bad.
Scott, you're live.
Hey, what's going on, Smitty?
I'm good, bro. Isaac, I go Komet over Okonkwo because I believe the offense, they're very, very close anyway, and Komet's going to have a huge year, and he's got Fields thrown to him. I don't love that Tennessee situation at all. I do like Okonkwo. I like to pair them together, too. Go ahead, Scotty. What can I do for you, pal?
Just curious, how would you rank? I think these are the top 3 second running backs. Dillon, Charbonnet, and Mitchell. How would you rank them, especially if you have to use them at some point for points? At their current, still, not replacing somebody injured level.
If they're not replacing somebody injured, Charbonnet. I think Dillon's probably your safest, out of the gate, and this comes back to what I said earlier. What's your purpose here? Do you have Javonte Williams? Are you, you know what I mean? Are you needing points in week 1? If so, then Dillon's your guy. And Mitchell's going to get work too, though. He's going to get a lot of work. Well, Dillon's your touchdown threat right from week 1. But long term, and you're not predicting injury even, Charbonnet will be the one I want long term for the season. Not talking Dynasty. I mean, in 2023 long term.
If you were sitting with your 3 running backs and you're around 8 or 9 rather, and you took Robinson in the first round and waited and took Kamara in the 8th or the 9th, or 7th rather, and then grabbed Perrine on the flip side, or P. Ryan on the flip side. In the league plays 2 running backs, and there's 1 flex, but I'm loaded at receivers. Would you go with A.J. Dillon for safety, or would you go or Mitchell, or would you go Charbonnet even?
I would just go Charbonnet if it's me, but you are running the risk of maybe he's not used like we think, but he's so talented, and they all have upside, and they all have a running back in front of them where there's a question mark of whether that running back will either stay healthy in Aaron Jones's case, stay healthy in CMC's case, or just lose ground, or get hurt, but lose ground in Charbonnet's case. But guess who's going to
this strategy? Grabbing Charbonnet and then maybe Devontae Foreman a couple of rounds later.
I'm not a big Foreman guy. So
you don't think he's going to take the role that
no.
Oh, help me! The guy went to Detroit.
Monty. No. I think Khalil Herbert's the starter. I think Khalil Herbert's the starter. Khalil Herbert led the entire National Football League out of all running backs with 5.7 or 5.8 yards per carry. So he's the number 1 yards per carry running back in the National Football League. He's getting no love right now at all. Might crack the Moon Man list.
Roche had 5 100-yard games.
Well, he didn't.
Had 5 100-yard games, didn't he?
Yeah, but he didn't get like the full run. He didn't get the full run. He didn't start the whole year. I mean, like, bro, Monty was there. Monty was there starting games. Like, what do you expect him to do? Like, he did amazing when he was called upon. I mean, you can't get 700-800.
Foreman to have any kind of role.
I'm not saying that Foreman won't have a role, but like, you got Roshan Johnson there as well, bro. So like that, Foreman's got to beat out 2 players now, one of which Khalil Herbert's likely the starting running back.
Gotcha.
But hey, look, let me finish it with this, and you can stay on the phone if you want to ask more questions. But I mean, is there a world where Foreman is the best running back there? Absolutely. Like, trust your gut. If your gut says Deonta Foreman looked amazing, and he did look pretty good last year. But if you believe he's the guy, don't let me talk you out of it. Not to mention, you can get, a Roshan Johnson really cheap, cuff Roshan and Foreman together, and then you're just banking on Khalil Herbert not being the guy all year, and then you have some production. But I just think Khalil Herbert is the best running back there. And I don't think Roshan is going to move him aside very fast. So Khalil has to fail.
Now, you made me think of another question. So I know that you and it's really catching fire across a lot of platforms on Olave, and he's creeping into the second round now. Everywhere, you don't see any path that the most targets go to Michael Thomas.
No, I mean, is there like in a Spider-Verse? Are we talking like Spider-Verse? Like, is there a one universe out of, let's say, 100,000 sitting in front of us that where Michael Thomas is doing good?
You don't think that there's a 40% chance or a 30% chance that Michael Thomas is still the league receiver there?
Not that high. Is there a small chance? Sure. But this guy can't stay healthy, man. He can't, and he's not even healthy yet. He's saying he thinks he will be healthy, that he will be healthy. He plans on being healthy. This guy has not stayed healthy for a long, long time, and as good of a couple years that he's had, he is more of a one-trick pony. I don't care what anybody says. That's why they call him Slant Boy. I'm not the first person coming up with the fact that a lot of people think he isn't as well-rounded at all. Olave's the future, man. And Olave is a field stretcher. He led the entire National Football League in air yards when Winston was in the lineup. And Derek Carr is very much a similar player in terms of that air yardage, throwing it downfield. So if Olave is a rookie, led the league, and it was by a lot, bro. It wasn't like by a small amount. He was crushing the entire National Football League in air yards. Olave special. And then when Winston came out of the lineup and they didn't have that deep threat passer, he started doing amazing things on the sidelines and short yardage, and that kind of matured him along a lot quicker. It's not that I don't think Mike Thomas has a shot in hell of being healthy all year, getting 900 to 1,000 yards and 6-7 touchdowns is certainly possible, but it's not even close talent-wise anymore. Like Mike Thomas, he is what he is now. We can always look back and say, oh, but Mike Thomas, when he was in his prime, we can't play that game anymore. He is not that same player, nor is his body going to even allow him to play a full season. I just don't see it at all. We do have to monitor the Achilles tightness that Olave had. It is a little bit of a inflammation and tightness. Doesn't mean he tore it or anything like that. It just, there's a lot of times where you're working out and it's even your calf. It's like the lower part of your calf that's sore. And so they just sat him out and he's got a little bit of that tightness or whatever. So you just look for that, make sure you monitor that. But as soon as that's out of the way and they're not even talking about that anymore, it's Olave to the moon. It's top 5 potential wide receiver numbers. It wouldn't shock me if Olave outscored Garrett Wilson. Again, trust your gut. I'm not saying stay away from Michael Thomas, but I just think that question, it's very, very much nostalgic, you know, and I get it.
If out of one more, then, if you don't mind, I'm looking for later round receivers, and you know, one thing I like to draft are those receivers that have pretty clear paths to being fantasy relevant, obviously. And what I mean by that is I look at a guy like Mingo, and that receiving core in Carolina is terrible. They're just bad. And I look at a guy like John Mechie, who when he was at Alabama, man, he was the guy that friggin' moved the chains. You know, Jameson was the deep ball guy, but Mechie was the one when they needed that chain move. That's the one they went to. And you know, there's not a lot there either. And then there's not a lot in New York with Hyatt. Are those 3 good guys you think worth kind of targeting in that 13th, 14th, 15th rounds?
Here comes Dell.
Yeah, I mean, I would say, like, I get what everybody's saying about, you know, guys like Nico and Mechie. Tank Dell, I mean, there's a reason he's on the Moon Man list. I think he could be a top 15 wide receiver. I really believe. I'm not saying he's a lock there. I'm not saying anybody should expect that. I'm just saying that's how good I like Tank Dell. I like Hyatt a lot. I think Hyatt's really good. I like Hodgins a lot in New York. But I like Hyatt a whole lot more. Very, very talented. I'm just not a huge Mechie guy. It's not that I don't see him climbing up. It's not that I don't see him having potential. Who was the first one you named?
Mingo.
I like Mingo. We're on the same. I mean, we got this, man. Look at this.
Mingo, and Mingo was his name all.
We like Mingo a lot here. It could take some time though for him to develop. I think Thielen is still productive, but he's definitely dropped off. So I think Thielen, you know, maybe he has half a year where he's the number one, and then Mingo takes on a later number one type of leadership role there. But Mingo's really, really talented. Little AJ Brown in that kid. So really, really hoping that Mingo turns out. But I found myself drafting a lot less of him lately, though, admittedly. And I think it's just because I'm not sure. We haven't heard anything yet, so we kind of like hanging back. But he's on this list for, or on all this, this hype train stuff that we do here because we like him a lot.
Nobody there. I mean,
right.
Adam Thielen
older
is all 3 of those guys were like at the bottom of separation metrics and everything else.
Oh, hold on, TMT.
You have Downs. You have Reed there.
TMT, you still here?
You have Dobbs there. They're all around the same area.
Hold on. TMT dropped to 20.
Alert. Super chat alert.
I'm sorry. What did you say?
I said I'm going through a divorce and all my money's tied up.
I'm sorry to hear that.
I'll hit you up with some chat at the end of August when it is.
Hey, man. I'm sorry to hear that, pal. TMT said, "What's up, Smitty? I'm drinking a Mexican Coke and just finished my first Dalmatian 2, which is on Underdog Fantasy, the Dalmatian draft. Go try it out, guys, if you want to play with the big boys. It's $101. Get it? 101 Dalmatians. $101 to get into a Dalmatian 2 draft. And wanted to see if you had finished any. I haven't actually done a Dalmatian yet. I need to. I've been wanting to like focus and really smash it. And so I've just been delayed on doing. I'm doing so many other drafts. If so, what's your favorite draft? Dropping a $20 and let's make it rain. Hey, TMT, you still here? I'm pretty sure he is. He's usually here through the whole show, but I'm sorry about the delay. Yeah, he's still here. Thank you, TMT. I'm sorry I didn't see that until right now. My favorite draft, I don't know that I have this is one of my favorite drafts. I'm actually on the clock right now, so let's draft together. This is actually one of my very favorite drafts that I have, and this I put it on my Instagram, so you guys were very, very aware of this team. If you've been following, Denny, hold on, 1 second, Denny. All right, so we're gonna draft this team right here. We're gonna draft this pick. So in this team, it's a puppy. Let's see. Let me go to the details. It's a puppy 2. It's a slow draft puppy 2 that Are you sneezing? What are you doing, Denny?
I just sneezed twice. Dude, I'm your boy. Nah, I just sneezed twice.
Okay, hang tight. Denny, mute if you could, real quick, unless you can be quiet. Okay. Puppy 2. This is a puppy 2. That means it's $150K to first place.
Yeah, my bad.
Denny, mute. If you can't be quiet, mute. That's all.
Mute.
Denny, take another shot.
It's 150 to first place. It's 75K to second place. It's 10K to first place in points.
Finish him. Call terminate.
I'm sorry. There's only so much I can take, Denny. Okay, $10,000 to first place. Second, and this is in scoring through week 14, regular season. So there's regular season prizes. Here's my team so far: Patrick Mahomes, Jahmyr Gibbs, Kenneth Walker, Drake London, Jahan Dotson, Travis Kelce. I love this squad. I don't go Kelce a lot in many of these drafts. I went Kelce. I went Mahomes. I went Jahmyr Gibbs a tad early. I went Drake London. Then I went Kenneth Walker. Then I went Jahan Dotson. This team is phenomenal. I'm feeling so good about it, and I'm on the clock right now. What do you guys think I should do? I'm thinking Trevor Lawrence. I'm thinking of if I so badly want to fill out the entire team, and this is one QB, but I'm so into this double quarterback drafting when it falls perfectly, and I don't know that I'm extremely excited. I think Pickens might be there, so I'm excited about a couple of the wide receivers. Or did Pickens go? Pickens went. You went right before. Look at right there. You went right before. The 7.4 took Pickens. Tony's gone, unfortunately. So we're looking at Quentin Johnston, Brandon Cooks, Bateman, Elijah Moore, Zay Flowers, Michael Thomas, Cortland Sutton, Jameson Williams. I like, but he's not helping me for 6 weeks, and I think I don't want to go there yet. And I got Odell, Zay. There's no receivers. There's not a wide receiver worth taking here because I'd rather go like 15. This is that dead zone we're talking about, Ron, or the dry spell more so, where I like Zay Jones 15 players down more than I like any of the guys in the top 5 or 6 right here. I don't like Quentin Johnston enough. So I'm not going wide receiver. Even though I only have 2 wide receivers, I'm not forcing wide receiver here. I draft players, not positions. I do love DeAndre Swift. I know you hate that, Ron. That's a very intriguing pick here. Isaiah Pacheco's very intriguing. Javonte, Kamara, Charbonnet, those guys are all later. So I'm going to go ahead and pass on that. Tight end, Darren Waller. I could go double tight end, but I don't want it. I think the only pick here is Trevor Lawrence. I think he's the best pick on the board, and he gives me the optimal quarterback scoring in a 1 QB best ball where no one's touching me at QB. No one's touching me at tight end. Pause. That didn't sound good. No one's touching the tight end. I got Kelsey.
What's the bye week?
Yeah. The bye week, but Kelsey, Mahomes, and Trevor Lawrence, that is insane, to have the rest of this team. Does everybody agree? There's no reason to go near wide receiver. I'd go Trevor Lawrence here.
I would target the kid from Tennessee at tight end in another round or two.
Well, I mean, maybe, but right here, Trevor Lawrence.
Charbonnet take it back to you?
92, yeah, he should. Yeah, it's too early to go sharp. Yeah, I'm gonna go Trevor Lawrence. I'm just doing it. I'm doing it live. Here's the squad. Look at that squad. I mean,
the one you showed.
I don't know. No, this wasn't. I don't think this is the one was it the one I showed you?
Yeah.
Okay. This one's really.
Because remember, I said you need another receiver. So I wish you would have had another receiver in there.
Yeah.
One of the other top receivers.
If Pickens were there, I would have contemplated it, but this is just straight fire. Let me real quickly. So that's my puppy 2. Here's another puppy. This one's really good too. Joe Burrow, Bijan Gibbs, Olave, Christian Watson. And I'm on deck. Joe Burrow, Bijan Gibbs, Olave, Watson, and then I got my picks of, there's a lot of guys there.
Mahomes scares me.
Can I just say something, Blake? Can I just say something, Blake? I love you, and I don't want you to think that you can't call into this show. I don't want you to think I'm against you. I don't want you to walk away with a bad taste in your mouth at all from this experience. But you and I don't exactly click on everything, my guy. I have to say it, and that's okay. We're different. Everybody's got to have different opinions. But did you just say Mahomes scares you?
Yeah, he does a little bit. And the reason, and I'll tell you my reason. It's not that he's not great, and it's not
that
I'm thinking he's falling top 10. But what my reasoning is, Kadarius Toney scares me. Sky Moore hasn't proven anything yet, and once you get past those two, it's nothing but Kelsey.
But what did they have last year? What did they have last year?
And I'm not. Well, at least Juju could do a little something. Juju's better than their third.
No,
than their
look,
third
they got Rashid Rice. They've Justin Ross is turning it on, bro. They brought in Richie James. I promise you, this wide receiver. Hey, can I tell you something? Can I tell you something? If you trust me, Blake. Blake, trust me.
First quarterback off the board, he could finish 5th.
Blake, trust me when I tell you, his wide receiver room is better this year. Better this year than it was last year. His wide receiver room is better. Juju's not a good player. Juju's okay.
Yeah.
He's a good player. He's not a great player. He's a good.
Tony's hurt all the time. He's crazy, and Sky Moore hasn't proven he can get it done yet. And when you look at Mahomes taking him first quarterback overall, I'll wait around and I'll take a Jalen Hurts.
Let's play this game though.
Because that receiver core just seems shaky.
But let's play this game real quick. And I'm not saying Jalen Hurts doesn't have weapons for days, but are you telling me that Kelsey, Toney, Rashid Rice, Sky Moore is significantly lesser than A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and Goddard? Like, you really believe that that's there's miles apart from that? Because Kelsey's the best player.
I think is,
well, Jalen Hurts also runs though too.
Yeah, right. But I'm just saying he's saying he's scared of weapons.
Is a nut, and he gets hurt all the time.
I just think people.
Scott Moore still hasn't proven himself.
But bro, you gotta look at it this way. Does Mahomes still, with what you're concerned, have more weapons than Josh Allen? because he does. You know, like Josh Allen has Diggs and Gabe Davis and Kincaid, and I like that. Kincaid's still got to prove himself, and I believe he will. But you're talking about Kelsey, Tony, and you've got some inexperienced players there. But Kelsey still, I feel like people don't use Kelsey. I feel like people talk about his wide receiver room. Kelsey is the best pass catcher.
Also 34. And Kelsey's also 30.
Blake, you and I would be. You and I are like Shannon Sharp and Skip Bayless. Or no, who is it? What's his name? What's his name? I'm sorry, not Skip Bayless.
Mahomes threw for over 5,200 yards last year. Mahomes threw for over 5,200 yards, 41 touchdowns.
Yeah,
and that's not his first 1,000-yard season. He's had 2 of them.
He's got McKinnon. McKinnon and Pacheco.
Doesn't matter what.
My point is that
he's going to find the ball. He's going to get the ball to whoever. So as far as Mahomes goes,
I'm not saying Mahomes stinks. I'm just saying
you're scared
of him. A 34-year-old tight end, a crazy injury-prone number 1 receiver. You've got a number 2 who is a second year who didn't do anything to indicate that he's going to take off this year. At receivers,
you got
McKinnon.
You got McKinnon. You got McKinnon.
Also collapse to nothing.
Bro, I would venture to say that McKinnon, Kelsey, and Tony are as electric as any 3 players you can find in the National Football League for a tripod of talent for the quarterback. You know what I'm saying?
Every one of those guys could go the opposite way.
Well, you could say that about anybody. AJ Brown's got knee issues. Diggs is a diva beyond divas. Jamar Chase was injured last year. Hold on. Just listen to me, because I'm not necessarily saying anything negative about these guys. I'm just playing devil's advocate. Jamar Chase was injured last year, had a hip injury that people say, "Oh, I wonder if it really healed." Higgins is always hurt. Josh Allen's got Diggs to worry about, and a lot less weapons overall. Until Kincaid proves himself.
None of those guys even approach the problems that Kadarius Toney.
He could blow out his knee at any time.
Kadarius Toney, what's he played? Freaking 10 games in the last freaking 2 years?
He's right about
that. They've got Richie James. They've got Justin Ross. I know there's question marks on some of those guys, but, bro, they've got wide receivers for days to try this situation out. They'll be fine. Not to mention, they're still kicking the tires on Hopkins. But, the words you said. Okay, look, if you would have come in and said, Smitty, let's back this up. Let's get back in the time machine. If you would have said, Smitty, I think Mahomes could finish 4th out of these 4 quarterbacks. You know what I would have said? Absolutely, he could. All four of the top 4 quarterbacks are good. You started off with, I'm scared of Mahomes. So I'm just.
I am scared.
Okay.
I would be scared to take him as the first quarterback off the board. That receiving core is on a teeter that could go either way, and severely either way. And I would rather wait around and grab if I'm going to take a quarterback that early, I would rather grab a round later Allen or Hurts, just because.
Okay, so
Mahomes
what happens when Hurts?
34-year-old tight end. He's got a crazy injury-prone number 1 receiver, and he's got a number 2 that hasn't proven it.
You're not scared that A.J. Brown's knee's going to blow out? What happens if that happens? You're not scared of. So you're not saying you're scared of Hurts?
Not the thing. That's apples to oranges.
Who else do they got? No. What do they got? Quez Watkins for a third wide receiver? Come on, man.
Okay, can I?
DeAndre Swift.
But hey, Blake,
you were ranking who you thought would not play a season.
Blake,
out of all those people you named,
Blake, but you're the guy that. 1, 2, and 3. But Blake, you're the guy that likes Michael Thomas.
The whole drama with Diggs doesn't bother you. With Allen, that doesn't make you scared of Allen because there's Diggs drama. No, but you all of a sudden have a problem.
Hey,
Hey,
Blake, you're. Hold on, guys. Hold on. Blake, you like Michael Thomas though? This doesn't make sense.
It's Scott. I was asking questions.
Oh, Scott. This is Scott.
Michael.
I'm sorry, Blake.
Yeah.
Blake, I apologize. I've been calling you Blake the whole time. Poor Blake. Poor Blake. Now I got this. Now I got Blake. Blake, you and I agree. Scott is the one that. Okay, Scott. This makes more sense. I feel like Scott, when you've called before, there have been some issues. not that you don't. You're always welcome here, and you're a polite guy. I don't want you to take this the negative way, but we agree. We agree about as much as I agree with my mother about stuff. Like you, Michael Thomas. Like you're talking Michael Thomas a minute ago. Now you're talking about being scared of Mahomes.
I was just curious what your thought was, if there was any chance that I'm not taking Michael Thomas. I was more concerned about if I should think of Olave as a 120 target guy or a 140 target guy.
Well, he's gonna be a record-setting target guy for sure. But I would say I don't blame you if you like Hurts over Mahomes. I don't blame you if you like the cost of entry of Burrow in round 4 over Mahomes. I'm with you. I'm the one touting that and beating that drum. But I just think the way you're coming at it is a little bit worried. Like you're worried William a little bit on Mahomes, and I don't think you should be. But I understand why you might rank him 4th in a very close 4-headed monster race, because any one of the big 4, even Fields could be QB1. Fields could be QB1 in fantasy football 2023. No one should bank on it. No one should draft for it. No one should expect it. But you have 5 quarterbacks, essentially, in my mind, that all could finish 1. So I understand what you're saying, but scared of Mahomes is very, very... is a very rough way to put it.
I'm not scared of Mahomes himself. I'm scared of that receiving core.
You shouldn't be. You shouldn't be.
That's the issue I have.
You shouldn't be. You shouldn't be. You shouldn't be, bro.
Because of that receiving core.
Bro, it's look. It's not even it doesn't even need to be a certain player. The way that Mahomes is able to do this now. The way he's able to function in that offense. Kelsey. I agree that there's going to be a drop-off at some point. I think it's not – I'm not counting on it this year. I will say that I'm going to take it 1 year at a time for Kelsey moving forward, and I believe we're going to have a very uncomfortable conversation in 2024 offseason, next offseason, about Travis Kelsey's placement in fantasy football drafts. I'm on board with that eventually being the case, but 2023, I don't think you should be worried at all about a guy that has, even if you don't like Tony, he has Richie James, Justin Ross, Sky Moore, Jerick McKinnon, who played like the #1 running back in football for about a 3 or 4 game span, and he's a receiving potential monster. Pacheco's can do it all. This guy's got weapons for days, bro. I don't care if his entire wide receiver room is not figured out until week 5 or 6, and you're right. There's some scattered, showers going on in that wide receiver room. They've got McKinnon. He could do it all with McKinnon, Pacheco, and Kelsey if he had to. I'm telling you, this is Andy Reid. This is a play calling just gem right here. This guy could do anything. There's no concerns with Mahomes, bro.
I've been doing a lot of redrafts, and every one of them, Mahomes is going in the first round, and with that receiving core.
In a 1Q, well, hold on. Oh, God, I can't. We disagree on everything, even the reality of the situation. Scott, are you drafting in 1 QB leagues where Mahomes is going round 1? Is that what you just said?
Every
what
redrafts far.
No,
he's gone in the first.
No,
round.
He's not. No, what world do you live in? What Spider-Verse universe did you go to that you're calling from? Where in a 1Q? Hold on, huh?
Superflex league, maybe.
Yeah. I thought he was saying Superflex. Scott, his ADP isn't sniffing round 1. He's not going in round 1 in any mock drafts, on any platform, on any data, anywhere in round 1 in 1 QB.
I'm telling you, I have done 5 paid leagues online in redrafts, and he's gone in the first round.
In your universe. That's why I'm asking what universe. Scott, that's why I asked you 7 times, what universe are you calling from? Because in our universe, planet Earth 1247, in our universe, he doesn't sniff that ADP Anywhere, Scott. Anywhere. He's not a first-round pick.
Okay.
So, like, I'm asking, where are you drafting? Is it ESPN? Is it Yahoo? Is it some platform I've never heard of in my life?
Data Force.
Oh, this is the... Scott, I've never heard of this before. And I'm not going to promote them. So we're not going to keep saying their name even because I don't even know who they are. Scott, I've been in fantasy football professionally for 20 plus years. I've never heard of this before in my life. I remember you told me this the other day and I'm like, I don't know what that is. I got a draft over there. Maybe I need to pick it up because if people are taking QBs in a 1 QB league over on this place, this Force Be With You place, oh my God. Scott, you crack me up, bro. Scott, I love you though. I think Scott's good for the show.
It's the highest payout in fantasy football. The reason I went to it.
Ron, have you ever heard of it?
83% of the money is distributed back.
I don't know if you're playing with a fake. That sounds fake to me, bro.
It must be a new startup or something.
Maybe it becomes really big, and I promote him next year. All right, look, hey, Scott. Either way,
Let your email address. I'll email you the draft I'm in right now.
Okay, Smitty, go to thefantasyfootballshow.com, scroll to the bottom, and hit contact us. I've never heard of that. I've never heard of that platform in my life. But Scott, let me tell you something. Make sure you stay on it because if you venture out of that platform, you're going to get rocked with the reality of ADPs that are real. I've never.
Oh no, I use to draft. I use the ADPs from Underdog.
Someone said it was the platform. Somebody said that's the platform used in World War II. Oh, Scott. You're good for this show. You need to call in more. I'm having a good time.
My draft at this point.
I will. I'm going to look at your draft. I'm going to tell you where you should have drafted against traffic and not taken a quarterback in round 1. That's crazy, bro. I don't think even ESPN has quarterbacks going in round 1. It's probably like 8 points per touchdown pass, right?
No, it's all your standard scoring. It's all paid leagues. I think I do either a $50, $100, or a $200, depending. This one's a $50 that I'm doing right now.
And you're positive these aren't super flex. You're positive these aren't super flex leagues.
Yes, I'm positive it's not super flex. It's a standard league. Mahomes went number 3 overall in this thing.
Come on, Scott.
I don't think I've seen him go past 7.
But that's not real.
I love Scott. Scott.
I gotta get this thing copied.
Scott, you're in the wrong universe, pal. I don't know if you've seen Spider-Man, but I'm having flashbacks of that movie right now, and I feel like you landed in the wrong place. You're drafted. I mean, honestly, you put me in that position, I'm gonna crush. I'm gonna crush every single one of those drafters because, goodness gracious, man.
He's drafted in the Twilight Zone.
I haven't seen a mock draft yet. Where are you drafting? The Delta Force? The Delta Force Fantasy Football League? Scott.
Data Force.
I love Scott. Let's go over. Hey, Scott, hang tight. Let me go back to Blake. Blake, I apologize. Blake sat there patiently. I was like, Blake, you and I don't agree on anything. Blake, and I was talking to Scott the whole time. Blake, what's going on from Minnesota over there? What do you know?
So, I'm not scared of Mahomes at all, but I'm just curious on why you have Mahomes over Hurts. I love both of them.
I don't.
When you're saying like how the Chiefs, how he has weapons, I feel like the Eagles have just as much weapons with DeAndre Swift, AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, and his running ability too.
I don't have Mahomes over Hurts. I was just defending Hurts' honor when he was like saying he was scared of him. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. I do end up drafting Hurts ahead of him, but I could easily convince myself to go Mahomes. Burrow in round 4 is better than everything. Fields in round 5 is quickly becoming an equal to that. So give me Fields in 5 all day long, unless you're in the data stream force league. Then you gotta go Fields at number 5 overall. But Fields in round 5, 6 is absolutely win a league material. Burrow in 4, and so I try to go those routes before and you gotta do that after the fact. But I just mean, like, I try, and if the flow of draft allows me to not go Mahomes or Hurts, and I'll tell you right now, the most times that I draft Jalen Hurts and I don't wait for Burrow or Fields to find out if that's going to play out, obviously because it's a later round, right, in round 4 or round 5, is when I'm sitting there in round 2. I don't like the options. They're not bad, but they're not like win a league options to me. I would go Hurts in round 2 to pair with Bijan. Most teams I draft early quarterback in round 2 is going to be with Bijan. It just happens to fall that way for me. I just tend to have both those guys when I do that. It's weird.
So what are you thinking about with Allen compared to Hurts now with this whole Stefon Diggs situation? Like, you still think they're going to have that same bond connection and they're still going to be doing great in fantasy? Or do you think the safer route is waiting around for a round or two for Fields?
Fields over who?
Josh Allen.
Yeah, I look, like I said, there are 3 moves that will be more. There's no more league winning moves out there right now in my mind. If I could only do one show and I could only talk about 3 players, and that was the only thing that I was allowed to do all year long, my show tomorrow, my one show, if I could speak to you all just one time, would be on Joe Burrow round 4, Jahmyr Gibbs round 4, Justin Fields round 5. Those would be the 3 players that I would say, guys, I have a very limited amount of time. Here's what you need to do. Those are the moves, bro. Those are them. Those are better than Mahomes in 2, better than Josh Allen in 2, better than Deshaun Watson in 12. I could care less. I could care less if you told me you could get Deshaun Watson in 14. It doesn't change my thinking at all, because I'll still crush whatever players you're taking. I'm still going to get my team to do what I need it to do, and I'm going to have that win a league potential in Fields or Joe Burrow and Jahmyr Gibbs. Those are my 3.
Hey, correct me if I'm wrong. Wasn't it Stefon Diggs that had the sideline kicking net incident, that he's throwing a tantrum with the sideline kicking net? Wasn't that Odell Beckham a couple years ago?
Yeah, was that Odell? I forget.
Huh?
Yeah.
No, that was Odell. That was Odell Beckham. He took his helmet and he.
Okay. Yeah. You're right. That's why I said, correct me if I'm wrong. That was Odell.
Smitty, I can't find your email address. What is it?
Just Smitty at, and then my website's thefantasyfootballshow.com. Pretty easy. Hit me there.
Schmitty, are you aware that they have Chris Olave on ESPN? This is ADP is 40.
Yeah. But I think if you I would tell people draft on ESPN and then transfer your league back over to your normal platform. The only problem is sometimes they have players that are higher ranked than you want, and you're like Kamara, for example. Kamara might be like in the 4th or 5th round still. It's like, so you win and lose, drafting over there.
Yeah. I've just been doing so great in those leagues. I've been getting Olave at the end of the 3rd round, and I'm pairing him with Gibbs in the top of the 4th, and it's been amazing.
Well, hey boys, I'm gonna roll you all off the line here. We've been live for how long? We've been live 2 hours and 8 minutes. Let me start off with Scott, and first, thanks Scott for being here. Scott, and I got to go to Okafor and Lateral Nicholas and Carl because they haven't talked yet. So. What? Okay, thanks, Scott. I'm going to study your draft and change my entire content around this draft. But hold on, let me look at Scott's draft. I mean, bro, it already looks like. Is this? I'm really not trying to be a jerk at all, Scott. So I'm sorry if I'm coming off that way. I'm trying my hardest, but this looks like it was made in the 80s, bro.
I am the revival too.
Okay. And bro, this logo looks like my 2-year-old drew it. Like, this is an old platform. I can tell right now. This is an old school. They haven't changed their logo in like 20 years. This was out before, but when there was dial-up. This is the draft board. This is an old school draft board. I can tell. It looks like Excel. Okay. I mean, it's fine. What draft slot are you in? He's like, well. What draft slot are you in?
I'm the right number 9, the one that drafted Bijan first.
It's not Bijan. It's Bijan. Scott.
Your Bijan card has been revoked.
Done.
Scott. This guy's Scott. Okay. Number 9, Bijan Robinson, Stefon Diggs, Justin Fields, Keenan Allen, Calvin Ridley, Christian Watson, Alvin Kamara, Samaje Perine. I mean, they're good. You got a good team. I don't mind it. I feel like Keenan Allen was really early. I don't like that. I still feel like Joe Burrow. Like, why would you take Mahomes at number 3 overall? What kind of pick is that when Joe Burrow's still there in 4? Like, this is insane to me.
Like, that's where you
now
wanted
you know
Eckler.
why Mahomes scares me, because I'm not taking him.
That's because you're drafting with a bunch of elementary school kids here on data on Data Zone.
Place pays me $300, I'll do it.
He's taking those kids' lunch money.
Yeah, I can't argue with that.
He's taking their lunch money.
I'd draft on Data Zone too, if it was if I was able to take all this lunch money. But you gotta be careful. These parents are gonna be pissed. Bijan, Diggs, Fields. I would rather have you go Burrow. Let's see.
Who took Austin Eckler at number 2?
Yeah, this
Right?
is bro. Are you sure? Are you sure these are real drafters? This isn't somebody created this.
Not even on
This feels like a site. It feels like someone created the site to play with you, and they're all fake entries in there. What?
Oh, there's JJ. I couldn't see it at first. Number 5.
Where's Olave? Where's Olave at? He went in the third round. Third round. Drake London was a steal. You know where you messed up? I would have taken.
Where?
I would have taken instead of. I mean, I like Fields. I love Fields, but I would have taken Jahmyr Gibbs instead of Fields. You would have got Joe Burrow in round 4. You would have Bijan, Stefon Diggs, Gibbs, Joe Burrow, Ridley, Watson, Kamara, and you'd be walking straight to the cafeteria. Straight to the cafeteria to collect all these kids' lunch monies.
I don't want 2 rookie running backs.
Well,
I just
why? Why? What rationale do you have for that, Scott?
Because we just don't know. And the problem with Gibbs is that he can't run between the tackles.
Oh, he
at
can't?
all.
Oh, he can't?
So I'm not sure. That's his biggest knock.
Scott. I love Scott. Scott, I appreciate you, man. Scott, have you ever heard the science behind why Jahmyr Gibbs is a top 5 to 10 running back?
The guy runs a 4.3.
But Scott, have you seen the science behind why he's a between the tackles RB? The science behind it. There's a science experiment, like algorithm. Have you seen it?
I just what I do is I try to read.
Let me show. Can I show it to you? Are you watching the screen right now? Can I show you the actual data?
I'm behind several seconds.
Okay, I'm going to press the button right here. It's going to explain it, and you're going to, after the end of it, you should know why Jahmyr Gibbs is a top 5 running back. All right, ready? All right, here we go. But the continuum of the gigawatt component structure of Jahmyr Gibbs' workload divide has a megawatt offload that if you compartmentalize the component conjunction timekeeper and you flux capacitor out the continuum component megabolt, things just end up happening. And that's why Jahmyr Gibbs is a top 5 to 10 running back instead of top 6 to 10. It's in the data.
In the data, okay.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm a little leery of that.
Yeah, you are. What do you work in quality control or in investments or banking? You're in one of those fields.
No, corporate salesman.
You sound like a real safe guy, but hey, look, Scott, you got to trust your gut. Don't listen to me. I'm wrong about things every single year, so always trust your gut. But try and listen to a few of the things I'm telling you, and apply it to what you're already doing. But go take those kids' money. Just be careful. You get some parents coming after you. You're taking milk money. You're taking milk money away from kids in these drafts. I've never heard of this site my entire life, bro. And by the looks of it, I knew before you sent me that graphic it was going to look like a 12-year-old mocked up the mock draft board like that. But hey, you're cleaning up, like you said. Why not go clean up over there? All right, Scott. I appreciate you calling anytime. I hope you didn't take this as a negative experience. We had a blast. You're a funny guy. And we appreciate you.
I don't think anything like that.
All right.
Anyway. All right. Take
later.
Be good.
Okay. Final thoughts, Scuba Steve. Then I got to run.
Hey, Smitty.
Exhausted.
What's your thoughts about the? Because I know you're a Suns fan. What's your thoughts about the Bradley Beal trade?
Oh, Kafer, you just jumped off. I was coming right to you. Bradley Beal, love it. I think this is, if we don't win a freaking championship now, I don't know what I'm going to do. I've been waiting since the Barkley days. Like, that's when I was a diehard Suns fan, and ever since I've been, watching these potential attempts to bring home a championship. Shaq, we've had a lot of talent come to this squad, and we have nothing to show for it. If we can't do it with Beal, I don't know what there's no other shot. We have no ability to go get a championship if we can't do it when we just bought one. And I don't care. I'm excited about it. I could care less. This is a league where you buy a championship anyway. So you just get in line, do the same thing everybody else is doing. If we can't win, I'm super excited about it. It was a great move. I wondered if this is when they were getting rid of Paul. I was like, okay, they're getting rid of Paul because they're going to bring in like Damian. They're going to bring in Lillard. They're going to bring in somebody. And Beal works. I like that a lot. He's a good player.
I agree. I just hope that all those guys can stay healthy.
Yeah.
I mean, that is like the one thing about all those guys. But I mean, hopefully it works out. I would be saving this because I know that you like to wrap up. So that's why I just figured I'd ask you. But it's good talking to you, man. And,
all right, man. Appreciate you, Scuba.
I'll try to bring in more topics as well. You have a good night.
Later, Scuba. Blake, final thoughts, Blake.
I think that we might need to be doing some more ESPN drafts. I'm looking at these ADPs right now, and these are just absurd.
Yeah.
Like, they got Drake London at 80. I mean, this is just
But
wild.
can I ask you something? Are you seeing Mahomes in round 1, though?
Absolutely not.
Scott, the thing about Scott that was irking me, and I was having a good time with it, is that he acted like we were crazy, but like all he had to say was, "Hey, Smitty, the reason I'm seeing Mahomes in the first round is I play in this weird league that no one knows about, and they're this weird platform where I'm just taking like candy from a baby over there." But instead, he's like, "Smitty, I haven't done a single mock draft where Patrick Mahomes hasn't gone in the top 10." I have no context. I'm like, "What are you talking about? You haven't done a single mock draft. He's not going in round 1 at all." And then at the end, you dig into it, and Scott's got this elaborate story about he's playing on a league that somebody forgot to turn off, and it's just been running for 20 years. I don't think there's even people running this site. And he's, just plugging money away. And I don't know, maybe I need to play on it. But anyway, yeah, ESPN, maybe we look into it. God, it's hilarious.
Yeah, man. All right. Thank you, Smitty. Appreciate the show, and I love it.
Yeah, appreciate you, Blake.
Give a great rest.
Later. Happy Father's Day if you're a father. If not, Ron will adopt you. If you just talk about the Steelers, he'll adopt you.
I have one last question. That's all right with you.
Go ahead.
Oh, so I just turned 14, and I'm a humongous fantasy football fan. I've been doing it since I was 9 years old. And I'm currently in like 8 leagues, and I'm wondering how I can kind of get into that role of, helping others with fantasy football, like being more of a content creator out there, like how you have. I was taking a look, and I saw you got some degrees in that. I'm just curious on how I can get to a spot where you're at one day.
Yeah, I mean, just do. You got to do, because you need to. You can't. There's nothing anybody can tell you. You just got to go start creating content. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. You might not even love it. But you got plenty of time. Like if this makes you motivated or helps you really see things from, and you probably won't, because you're a young kid. And when someone said to me when I was younger, you got your whole life ahead of you, I'm like, whatever, you old bag, or they'd say something like, time flies. I'm like, shut up. Like you can't understand it. You won't fully understand it. But if you said, Smitty, give me everything you have right now, my whole show, my entire business, everything. Like, assuming I get to keep the kids and the fam and all that's going to end up being the same. Like, let's be clear. Miss Smitty, if you're watching, everything's got to be the same, honey. If you told me you could flip me back with the technology that's available right now and everything to your age, I would give you everything I have. Everything. So that should really hit home with you to understand that time is more valuable than anything in the entire world, bro. And you are not even scratching the surface of where you should even have begun creating something for yourself. So, time is everything. Time is the most valuable commodity on planet Earth. And you once you get to a certain point in life, time goes so much quicker. And you'll just have to experience it, but keep it on the front of your mind what I just said. I would give you everything I have to change places with you age-wise, because I would take over the world having that much time. It's an unbelievable perspective to look at it. All right, bro.
I appreciate it, Smith.
All right.
Love the show.
All right, later.
The rest of your night.
Later. Lateral Nicholas.
Yo, Smitty, what's up?
What's up?
So in one of my leagues, I traded Dak Prescott, Cam Akers, and Tyreek Hill for CMC, T-Law, and Terry McLaurin.
Oh, I think that sounds great. Let me put it on screen again. Say it again. Dak?
Yeah, so I traded Dak Prescott, Cam Akers, and Tyreek Hill for CMC, T-Law, and Terry McLaurin.
I take that all day long. I don't care what format that's in, too, but is that in a dynasty?
No, this is a redraft, 1 QB.
Man, you guys have already
PPR,
redrafted.
10 team.
I rarely ever hear of a redraft this early, so that's crazy. You guys are crazy. That's good. I like it. CMC, T-Law, McLaurin for Dak, Cam Akers, and Hill. You blasted them to pieces, bro. If you got the CMC side.
Yeah.
And that's even me, like, a little skeptical that he stays healthy all year. You're getting T-Law over Dak. You're getting McLaurin, who's a downgrade from Hill, but, like, bro, you're crushing it at the other place. Yeah, just smash.
Well, I already have Garrett Wilson and Jalen Waddle.
Yeah, it doesn't matter who you have. You still crushed them, Hold on one sec.
I have Gibbs and Kelsey.
Gibbs and Kelsey. Okay, hold on 1 second, lateral.
King 25, code 428. Dispatch Vito Popo. Popo has been dispatched. King 25 out.
Yeah, Lateral Nicholas is his name. Lateral Nicholas, what part of the country you live? What state?
Connecticut.
He's in Connecticut, and he just ripped off somebody. Just absolutely robbed them. Yes. Send someone now. Thank you. Bye. You got 10 minutes. You got 10 minutes to get out of here, Lateral Nicholas. They're coming for you, bro. The Vito police are on the way.
Got him.
Yeah, all right.
Lateral, I appreciate you. You blasted him, bro.
I was just gonna ask. So I have a lot of wide receivers. I have Jamison Williams, Dobson, Kincaid, Aaron Rodgers, and Flowers on the bench, and I have no backup running backs. So is there anyone out there I should get with those players?
No backup running backs. I love going after Kamara and Swift and Pacheco and Charbonnet and all those guys that you're going to draft in like the 6 territory. But who's the guy you want to trade the most? Your wide receiver that you would want to trade?
So I have Lockett, McLaurin, Dotson, Jameson Williams.
I keep
I'd
Dotson.
probably say Lockett because I think he has the most face value.
Yeah, Lockett. I mean, try and go get like Dalvin Cook right now would be good. A Lockett for, I mean, what running backs could he take? Lockett for Madison. Lockett for, you're not going to get that, but Lockett for Monty. Lockett for Javonte, who's hurt. Kamara, like I said, P. Ryan's interesting as well for Lockett. That would be fair. I don't think that'd be crazy. You could go after Khalil Herbert using Lockett, and I think some would say you get ripped off, but in your situation, I'd do it. And Herbert's probably very cheap.
Yeah, there's a guy that has Herbert and Pacheco.
Yeah, try that. All right, Lateral Nicholas, appreciate you.
Yeah.
Good job in your trade. Later, pal.
All right, thank you.
Where's Joe?
right.
You know who's the best dude in there? It's, what the hell's his name? Man, I love that dude.
Smitty?
Smitty? Smitty.
Yeah.
You love what? You know, Smitty, I'm in.
Paul, appreciate your super chat. Happy Father's Day, Paul. Denny, I'm out of here. So, final thoughts, Denny.
Final thoughts. Don't piss off Smitty. He's really good. He helps us out. He's our boy. Don't piss him off. I'll meet him over there in Las Vegas.
All right.
I'll hook up with you.
Denny, I'll see you in Vegas. I need you there. I need you to make it happen. Russian Collusion said Garrett Wilson draft. I'll put it on my Instagram. Okay, I'll put a link to a Garrett Wilson draft on my Instagram. It'll feel a little slower then, but I'll put a link there, and if we don't fill it quickly, I'll put the link in a couple of the DM chats we got. So I'll put one on there tonight. So Russian Collusion, look for it there on my Instagram. Okay, and I'll DM it to you. I'll DM you the link.
I'll be there. Dude,
Overcome.
I'll be there. I'll hang out. You guys are gonna be like, yo, Danny's a hot shit. And we're gonna have a good
Overcome.
time.
You still here? Appreciate that $2 super chat. I just saw that one. Vampy. There's a slightly different ingredients in KC, but Mahomes is still the chef in the kitchen. I'm sorry I didn't see that either. A couple of these are coming through late. So Vampy, appreciate you dropping that super chat. I'm not sure if I'm caught up on everything yet. I believe I am. Let me just go ahead and see. TMT dropped the Mexican Coke that he was drinking. Super chat. I got that one. I think I'm all caught up. Paul, appreciate you. All right, Denny, I'm out of here. Appreciate you, Denny.
All right, love you guys, man. I'll be there, man. Smitty, Rod Navy, super chat. Jesus Christ, you guys are the best. Oh man, Smitty, you guys don't piss off Smitty because he's my boy.
All right,
and
Denny.
I don't like that.
Denny, later.
Right,
guys, I'll be in
Later,
Vegas.
Dan.
I'll be in Vegas July 15 at Circus Sports at Stadium Swim outside with a big, huge pool and big, huge screens that are like the size of like 3 drive-in movie theaters. It's crazy, the screens. I'll be there. I want everybody to be there. I'm live streaming the Scott Fish Bowl. I'm live streaming during 3 Scott Fish Bowl drafts for charity. So I'll see you all live on my channel. I'll be live in Vegas on Friday and Saturday. My show will be, I'll do all my shows. You know me, I'm going to be roaming around Vegas during the graveyard shift. We won't do mock drafting or drafting because I'll be walking around, but I'll be walking around like Vegas doing the show. So Friday and Saturday, there'll be interesting shows because I'll be in Vegas the entire time. Ron, any final thoughts?
Nope.
Man, Scott was a trip, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. It was a fun show tonight.
Yeah, Scott was. I like Scott. I hope Scott's watching. I like Scott a lot. Scott's great, but just the way he would go about certain things, like I'm telling you, he's going in the round, like he's trying to convince me that that Mahomes slipped into round 1 ADP and I wouldn't know it, without giving us any of the like obvious, context of, well, I'm drafting on a, archaic platform. that only works on Mozilla Firefox, and you have to have a Hotmail email address in order to access the draft.
I couldn't believe he was worried about Mahomes.
Yeah. I love Scott. Mark Cleveland in the house. Oh, Mark, dial in real quick. Mark Cleveland.
Mark hasn't been around.
God, I haven't seen. Dial in right here, Mark. Dial into the show real quick. I need Mark Cleveland. We need more Mark Cleveland in our lives. What's he been doing back there? I love Cleveland to show up in Vegas. Where's he been? He's been tending to the fields. I'll wait for him for a minute. I know you might be busy, Mark, but if you're in here, please dial in real quick. Man, Mark Cleveland. There's some of these names I see that I haven't seen in a while, and you know, as many people that come through here, sometimes I'm forgetful to remind people and nudge people and go looking for people. And I did call Mark Cleveland that one time live on the show because I hadn't seen him in a while, but we haven't seen him really since that show. So very, very glad to see him. This man, Mozilla Firefox. Yeah, anybody have a Hotmail email address still? I think Scott might. All right, Ron, I'm out of here.
Alrighty, we'll talk to you later, Smitty.
Later,
chat.
Yeah, I don't know if you can access that draft zone from anything but a BlackBerry device. It's a BlackBerry app only. You gotta have a BlackBerry. Getting time to roll. Appreciate you, Mark. The phone line's open real quick if you need to dial in. If you don't, it's okay. I'll wait for you, and if you don't call, that's no problem. You do not have to call. I'm gonna hit the outro, and I'll just sit here for a second. Appreciate every single one of you. Let's ride. Brees Hall season, baby. What do I want to hit? Let's hit the Four Horsemen.
The Four Horsemen. Drafting Chase in round 1. Hall in 2. Burrow in 3. London in 4. Try Gibbs in 3. Burrow in 4. Wilson in 2. No problem. Combinations of these monsters will give your league mates nightmares, especially Bijan 1, Alavi 2, Burrow 3, and Gibbs 4. Don't lie. You just made an oopsie in your pants, didn't you? Ride for horses at the same time. The Four Horsemen.
Peace out, everybody. Appreciate you all. Thank you, Blackbeard. Thank you, Pal Derby. Pal Derby in the building. Appreciate you, pal. You've got mail. Hold on. I think Scott emailed me. You've got mail. Scott just sent me his draft. You've got mail. Mailbox full. 12 megabytes. Exceeds account BlackBerry account limit. Please log back into your BlackBerry to view the draft. You've got mail.
He's Michael K, CPA. When you've got bills to pay, Michael K, CPA. He is here to stay.
He's Denny. Denny. He's Denny.